I know, isn't it? Hi,
Hey, what's
Joe.
Hey,
Hey.
how are you ladies today?
Good.
We're good. A little sick, but other than that,
Yeah,
hanging in there. How are you, Joe?
I'm good. I've been waiting on this one. I enjoy shows that have a bit of just like comedy, but like that not that it's necessarily comedy, but just that you're realistic to the point of sarcasm and things with things, and I just love that. And it's your guys' show is very entertaining and stuff. And whenever when I first came across it, immediately I was like, I want to talk to those people. They're those are fun people, and not for nothing, like I'm glad to see I'm glad to see some not old white guys making content always. So
there you go. Yes. I
That's
felt the
true.
same way about your channel, Joe. Yes.
yeah. The I we try to have fun here and
Mhm. You do.
keep it. I mean, honestly, most days I go into it with maybe a few things on my mind that I want to talk about, and really just let it go from there, because I'm usually familiar with the people I'm talking about and know that
Mhm.
personalities and things will carry it. And if all else fails, I've always got a video on the back burner I can pull up and we can watch.
There you go. Well, I think that's very important to maintain those relationships. And every single person that comments, I try to get to know things about them on a more personal level. I know it doesn't help that we're separated by computer screens, but we do our best. I try to keep track of everyone. Everyone's important in this community.
Yeah, well, I mean, I have a number of people that I talk to daily now, either on the
Yeah.
phone or in other places, or through video chats or whatever, to stay in the loop of things. Discord's been really, really helpful for talking to people and stuff, and
Mhm.
building community. It's and really, like the live stream thing. That's why I switched to live streaming from making my recorded videos, because it gives me that
Mhm.
social interaction while we're going. And you never know what's going to happen. I mean, the other day I ended a stream with calling someone a piece of shit and just hit end. And it happens sometimes. Sometimes people need you to identify for them.
Was this a call that you were taking? Can you remind me, do you take live
It was
calls?
somebody in the chat arguing that Ron
Oh.
Wyatt was had found everything artifact in the world ever, and when refuted, they then switched to right-wing hate talking points and stuff, and I just said,
Yep.
"This is why we call you a piece of shit. Goodbye."
Mhm. Sometimes
And,
they're not even worth engaging with. You're just like, you're just trying to ruin everyone's time, aren't you? Yes. And they're good.
yeah, and really, like, I'm pretty easy to disrupt. You can you can get me sidetracked pretty easily. I'll get into it with somebody in the chat every now and then. A lot of times I don't even I'm not able to keep up with the chat because the chat has become like its own thing, and there may even be conversations not even about the show going on in there, and I'm trying to every now and then glance over and I'll catch something and say something, but
I know I give you a lot of credit, Joe, because I've done 3 live streams now, and it's not a small thing to run all of that.
Well, so to be fair, I realized that in the beginning, and I had help for a while. I had a sidekick that helped with the chat and made sure to star things I needed to see and stuff, and that way I could catch the things I needed to see, and it was we had a way of doing it, and it made it easy for me as far as that part of it goes. So whenever I then started doing it just on my own, I'd done it for a while and things, and I mean, really with the chat on a channel where the chat's moving and stuff, it's I didn't boot anybody, Randy. Shut up. Before the channel like picked up and the chat, yeah, I know, I was just giving you shit, Randy. Before the chat picked up and stuff, I like to interact as much as possible. Super chats, although it's like I don't really like asking people to spend money and stuff. If you want to ask questions and you want to make sure I see it, like that's an easy way to do it. I mean, I try to answer things anyways and stuff, but a lot of times I just don't see them. I have people message me and say, "Are you mad at me? You didn't answer my question." And I'm like, "I didn't see it."
Oh gosh, yes.
I know the amount of stuff in all the places. It's just so much.
Yes. Yeah, everyone's appreciated. Believe me.
I try to get in a routine with it. Like, I post a lot of the same stuff everywhere, but like, I may like change up, like I'll post it here on this day and a couple days later somewhere else or something. And I'll make one post on Blue Sky and TikTok and Facebook that does nothing, but then gets 5,000-6,000 views on Instagram. Just and vice versa. It just depends. It's really hard to predict, so I just continue to post shit everywhere.
I've noticed Blue Sky is definitely that safe space that I think we all need. The problem is those people that we don't want to interact with, they're all catching on to this, and they're moving from Twitter over to Blue Sky because they have no one to bully anymore. Like they need that audience. They need to trample on someone to feel good about themselves. And so we can't even have that safe space. But I thought, well, it's only going to be our people on Blue Sky anyway, because for one, it's a blue butterfly. What misogynistic prick is going to actually be on an app with a little blue butterfly, right? I thought, oh, yay, we've got it. We've got our safe space. Nope, they're all moving over.
I don't know. They'd be on there for the same reason that I'd go on Parler probably. So,
What's Parler?
Well, I still think the beautiful thing about that is Blue Sky is doing really, really well and has became a contender among the main social networks because of people trying to escape the Nazis and stuff from Twitter. And I mean, I'm sorry if you feel like that's hyperbole or whatever, but I think Nazis is the appropriate word. A lot of the things that go on Twitter aren't allowed on Blue Sky. First of all, but also the fact that they're chasing people there just to hate on them, I think says more about them and really shows who they are and who we've been saying they are this whole time. So I'm okay with that. Let them come hate. If you're hating on me, that means you're not hating on somebody else, first of all.
True.
And second, like, that must mean I'm doing something right, you know?
Right.
They keep coming after you. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I know we just started getting the Christians that come and post the comments of Bible scripture that are, you know, a page long over and over. And I'm like, all right, like, thanks for the interaction, I guess.
It helps our channel, so thank you. Keep those comments coming.
I know that's what I say.
One of the biggest things that early on that helped my channel grow was whenever I had a video that took off, it would be the Christians who were posting Bible verses and some of it not so friendly. And I got death threats and everything, though. It was I covered Steven Anderson, and his people didn't like it, and they said some nasty shit to me. And
imagine that.
Oh, so we need to go after Christians, is what you're saying, not just the dead cult leader that we like to rail about.
We're going to talk about him, but well, I mean, I wasn't really going after anyone to begin with. I made a series of videos called Scum of the Earth, right? And it was, instead of it being me fact checking or something like that, it was just pointing out the things that these televangelists and mega church people say that makes them shitty people, you know? Like Kenneth Copeland telling people, if you get food stamps, you need to be tithing to the church for that amount of money. And stuff like that, you know? Like Steven Anderson saying that hate speech isn't a real thing, and then going on to say that homosexuals should be lined up and shot and things like that he said. And I wanted to, the whole point in the beginning, and still part of the point, which we'll get into, but is to point to the hateful things people say and shine a little sunlight on it, right? Like, let everybody else see. And one of the things that I learned becoming an atheist is whenever I read the Bible and things, that it sounds good, you know, like all that stuff sounds good. We've got 10 commandments, we've got rules, we've got all these things. But as soon as you start to scrutinize that a little bit, then you realize the holes in it. And then as you study it more and more, you realize how awful most of it really is. And so it's kind of that thing, like let's scrutinize what these people are saying. And I happen to do that with a rich Kentucky accent, which some people like.
We like it. Yes.
It's been I've been what now, a year and a half, I guess, almost 2 years, a few months away from 2 years making videos and or live streams or whatever. And it's been quite the adventure with a lot of ups and downs, and I've had to step back and re-examine myself several times along the way to really understand what it is I wanted to do and what effect I'm having on the people that are watching, because I don't want to be a place that spreads any kind of harm or makes people feel not welcome or any of that. And so I've had to reassess the situation a number of times. Not really huge like paradigm shifts, but just like adjust my view on things and understand better, because being an atheist in Eastern Kentucky is kind of not a lot of peers to discuss things with, right? Not a lot of experience or culture or any of that. And now I'm on a stage where I talk to people all over the world, and so I've had to learn to do that better. And
the
I'm
whole thing
thankful
is
for the
such a
community that holds me
growing
to it.
process.
Like the people that say, hey, this, you might want to look at this, like, and you might want to, you got this wrong, you let me tell you about this thing. Go read this. That's all of those things help to make me better at what I do. And so then when I
Absolutely.
have these discussions with whether they be atheist or theist, I can do it from a more informed position.
Right. Well, you want
Mhm.
to learn more. If somebody comes up to you and says, "Hey, you got this wrong, and here I can show you how it's wrong." Yes, then you change your position. I think it's awesome. It's all part of the learning process, and we can bounce off each other as long as that's the ultimate goal of all of us, is that we all want to know true things and how to acquire true things. Sorry, that was me.
No, you're fine. I was just making sure it wasn't me.
No,
Hmm.
Yeah.
Well, Joe, I'm wondering. So I hear what you're saying is like you are taking back this feedback that you're getting about the content you're putting out to make it quality for all the people listening and everything. And I think that's so honorable of you. I'm kind of curious if also through that process you have felt like personal shifts, not just related to those outside of you, but like has this led to some healing kind of shit for you?
yeah.
Sure. I've always kind of held the position that people are people, and some of us are different than each other in various ways, but we're all people and we should be treated as such. Um, and that people come from various backgrounds, cultures, and experiences. My experiences are, to some, seem to be like people want to hear stories about going to prison and doing drugs and all that stuff, and I get it. I understand that. Um, but to me, that's not really anything interesting. It's just my past. Um, I'm interested in other people's pasts in that way sometimes, and um, so it's really been. I didn't like to be on camera or talk about myself or um, things to do with me so much. Like I didn't care to compare or whatever, but
But keep
I
in
found,
mind, though, that you are interested in other people's stories, but that also means other people are interested in your story.
exactly. I found like
So
shows
we
like
all, yeah,
like
impact.
Neil the 604 Atheist. He does
Yep.
stories, and I've heard several people that go on there, and before they do, they're like, my story's not interesting, and nobody wants to hear that, and
And that's,
um, I'm
oh,
like, that's not the case. Everybody, like, maybe some people will find it boring, but who cares? Like, there are people that gain from hearing your story because theirs is similar, even
right.
if it's
Yep.
not filled with drugs and sex and prison. Like it's still it's still your story, and other people, more people will relate to the normal story than the crazy story, right? Some
Sometimes, yes.
I mean, they
but
might relate to it more, but it doesn't mean everyone doesn't want to hear the crazy story.
right,
Right.
yeah, and that's fine too. But I think everybody's story holds equal weight though, and
Hmm. And I
the
think that's actually why Patty and I maybe didn't start as soon as we maybe should have, because we told ourselves, we're like, "Oh, who the fuck cares what we have to say, right? We're just a couple of sisters who grew up in what's known as a doomsday cult. And quite frankly, we really didn't want anything to do with it for the rest of our life. I never wanted to hear about that shit ever again. But then I started to realize people are still suffering. There are still children being raised up this same way. And guess what? We're just going to have to do the same sort of trauma therapies with these adults, and I don't want people to have to go through that. So we said, if even one person listens to what we have to say, then it was worth it.
yeah.
And then we continued on from there, and now we have this great community that we're a part of, and we love everyone so much, and I feel like we're gaining ground, all of us, finally.
Yeah, no. I feel like the atheist community at large is growing and
Mhm. It is.
changing in positive ways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've talked about a few times here recently, especially like our community can't just be about arguing. Like
No.
Right.
and my show, like I know that a lot of people love to see the arguing with theists and the like owning people or whatever. Like I know they like that, but at the same time, I enjoy more talking to people within our own community.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I gain more from that, and I feel like it allows people to get to know those people better. And to your question though, because I didn't really answer it, but the shift in feelings, that's really it. Is I came into this as I want to debate people, I want to argue, I want to do those things, and it shifted to I'm more community focused now and want to do things to benefit the community, whether that be like book giveaways or try and help set up events in other places, which we're working on, or however I can do things to help, and not just from the atheist perspective, but as a skeptic, um,
Mhm.
as as someone who cares about the LGBTQ community, as all those things, as from the humanist perspective, more than atheism really has to do with
You mean, Joe, you're not just going to tell someone, "Oh, I'll pray for you," and leave it at that?
it. No,
Good.
I get that a lot though. I
Yeah.
like when theists argue with me in the comments of something, and they'll say something, and I'll say, "That's not even what your book says. You're like you need to go look it up." And then they'll come back with, "I'll pray for you," and I'm like, "Won that one."
I know.
No.
I know it's true. You know you've won.
So what a
Yeah.
cop out, dude.
Yeah.
It's
It's
such a
You know, that's where people have to get to for a while, I think, right? They just have to, like, eventually, I think, if they're doing that over and over, they're gonna have to get to a point of like, huh, I keep ending with that. Maybe I don't actually have an answer.
yeah, yeah.
yes.
The
Yes.
it's funny because one of the first things that they'll say to me a lot of times is, "You need to read the Bible," and I'm like, "You want to talk about the Bible? Is that where you want to go? Because I'm willing to bet that I know your book better than you do." That's not always the truth, but I find that it is a lot. Like it's pretty bad that you want to come at me with the Bible and then I have to point out verses to you without even looking them up that I know what they say. Like
Right.
that I've read your book way more than you have.
Mhm.
Because whenever you like, for me, when I became an atheist, I didn't take that lightly, and I
Yeah.
went looking for things that confirmed that I was correct in being a believer to confirm my faith. So in doing that, I'm looking at the Bible a lot and stuff, and got to know a lot of what it says, and I would read through it and I would say, because it's especially the King James version, like I have to write down what does this mean and go look it up. What does it
Yep.
mean in Hebrew and go look it up. And by
Oh, you went
doing
all
all
the
that
way.
stuff over and over throughout the whole book, eventually you get to know parts of it pretty well. I mean, like it's just a consequence of trying I gave it a good try to believe what you believe, and I can't. I
Yeah.
can't. I
Yeah.
don't. it's
I know though, for us and the Bible, it's a slightly different relationship, I think. Because in our cult, which was masquerading as a, standard church at the time,
But
um, they were very Bible believing. Like they believed all the things that were in there, but unlike mainstream Christianity, which kind of is like, no, don't look at that part. We're going to show you
Mhm.
this fluffy thing. We have some other stories. The Worldwide Church of God was just like
Nope.
in it. They were like, this is how awful our God is, but that is great because he's God. And so we're actually just going to be okay with that. What he does, all those awful things, is his right.
so let's just change direction there. So the Worldwide Church of God,
Yeah.
Mhm.
that is the cult that you guys were raised in. Is that the right way to say it?
Yeah.
Yeah, we were both born into it. Our parents met in the church. Um, it was started by Herbert W. Armstrong in the 1930s, but it was late 70s by the time our parents got together. And Armstrong had just gotten through his big 1975 prophecy where he said the end of the world was going to happen.
Yay. The next
And
one.
turns out it didn't. I don't know if you noticed that. So he pivoted at that point and kind of became like, I don't know, like a world philanthropist. Like he started international schools. He started bringing children's choirs from China to sing at his ambassador college. So he tried to make himself look like this, like, well, he actually called himself an ambassador for world peace. So in some ways, he took like all his doomsday stuff before that and turned it into this other thing. But the other thing is what we were raised in. So like all the doomsday was there underneath it. But we saw like, imagine when the world tomorrow happens and people from every country come together and the lamb will lie down with the lion and, like basically heaven on earth. And it looked like he was creating that by the activities he was doing. So I think in some ways, while we were damaged by the doomsday part, I also think that philanthropic way that he interacted, even though I would say now it's kind of it was a farce, it got to me as a kid, and I like had an appreciation for other cultures and the world. So yeah, it's been an interesting journey for us throughout this channel process to like unpack those pieces, like what we took from it that was probably great and helped us grow as people, and things that really held us back and damaged us.
Mm-hmm. And I think, oh, go ahead, Joe.
No, go ahead.
I was
I would like both of you to speak on it. Go for it. Yeah.
Well, I was going to give maybe a little backstory on the church itself too. So if we go back a little bit further to say the time of the Great Disappointment, when was that? Like 1840 or so, I believe. But it was this term Millerism, right?
Right.
Yeah, well, all that didn't happen, but I guess people held on to that. And, the further you go back in the history of religion, you just see all the little stems veer off. Well, eventually that Millerism stem got to Seventh-day Adventists. Heard of them. And Herbert W. Armstrong, okay, he was our cult leader. So here, back when he was really young, I want to say about 18 or so, he got married. And he was raised Quaker, but not really into church or religion at all. Until his wife had this dream that was, I guess you'd say, you might get some Mormon vibes here in this too, where she says Jesus came down and there were angels and there was some sort of message that Armstrong was supposed to do something for God's kingdom. Like, I don't think he actually believed it until this point, if at all. But he was a businessman, Joe. He was a marketing guy who learned a lot of things, a lot of tactics, but was not successful in business. And I think he saw this as an opportunity to start sort of a business, because I really do think pastors and people who lead churches are really just failed businessmen with no creativity, and they don't come up with anything on their own. And so they take the works of other men, the Bible, and they're like, oh, I can actually get followers and money this way, and status and power and respect, whatever the fuck they get out of it, right? Armstrong was no different. He was such a good con man for the age. He was sort of a televangelist before televangelists came onto the scene, right? He was an early pioneer of radio. So it started out in 1933 as Radio Church of God. That's how it began, and then just kind of slowly morphed into what it became in the 90s, which I don't even know how many members they had by that point. They were over the 144,000 people, though. Yeah. Correct, Paz?
Yeah, they were aiming for that 144 as the chosen. Yeah, they never crested 150. So,
and they stood out from other churches, which also just added to the whole. People believe this as to be God's true church because this dude makes sense of what he's saying. He's holding a magazine over here talking about the world news and the terrible things happening in the world. Over here, he's pertaining to all of these passages here in the Bible to say, see, isn't it obvious? And aren't you so grateful that you are amongst God's chosen and elect? What happened with Seventh-day Adventist, it's very similar. He was not Seventh-day Adventist himself, but he did believe in this whole Sabbath Saturday. So we're talking like Friday night to Saturday night kind of old Jewish laws. He was very Leviticus based. No pork or shellfish. He had his own holy days, all that. No birthdays, a number of different things that set him apart.
So
And
is it like Messianic Judaism?
Not really.
he
Okay.
took bits of it, but he put his
They
own.
were Unitarian, not Trinitarian. So I
Right.
don't know if that comports with
Yep.
that a little bit.
You mentioned that too. Yeah, he didn't believe in the Trinity, but he took the Bible literally in it. And on some level, I feel like we fell prey to evangelicalism in our later years because of this cult made God seem such like a terrible character, which he is. Read the fucking Bible. He's a monster. But then, evangelicals paint, this beautiful portrayal of God and Jesus. And I've said it before, rainbows out your asshole. That sort of appealed to us for a little while. We got into it, but then realized, well, that was bullshit as well.
Right.
Well,
yeah. Go ahead.
I guess I was thinking about, I saw someone ask about how we got out of it.
Yeah.
And in some ways, it's an interesting story. Although we fell into evangelicalism, we got out of the cult almost by accident, like not through our choice, because the cult actually fell apart. Yeah. So Armstrong died in 86, and they were able to keep it going kind of in the same thread for a few more years. He handed over the church to Joseph W. Tkach upon his passing, and then Tkach passed it to his son. So it started getting a little nepotistic and weird. But the big break happened in 94. So theology started to change between 86 and 94. And then 94, Christmas Eve, which is kind of funny because we decidedly did not keep Christmas. Christmas Eve, 94, Tkach got up and gave a speech that was basically like, so all that stuff that Armstrong taught us? I want you to forget it. And we're going to be a regular old evangelical church. He didn't say it exactly like that, but enough people understood that I think about half of the church left at that point.
At least.
And they slowly converted themselves to being more like a non-denominational church at that point. There was a documentary made by another evangelical church about their conversion called Born to be Free. Is that right?
Called to be Free.
Called to be Free. Thank you.
New Life Ministries put it on, but it was essentially like, how did all these church leaders all of a sudden get together, a couple years after Armstrong died? And they're all like, we need to change the doctrine here because we're all seeing the same thing. Armstrong was wrong about all these prophecies and things that he said. So it's from that standpoint. Obviously, we're atheists, so we don't believe in any of it. But it was a nice little documentary just to kind of show the way that the church, the cult, manipulated people.
I will probably look up a documentary on this after we speak.
It's on YouTube. It's free. It's called Called to be Free. It was an interesting little documentary, but someone needs to do another one.
And our 6-part series on Herbert W. Armstrong, some of the later episodes of that detail out more of the decomposition of the church as it was.
Oh, and we get the most hate comments on that first video, by the way. So the HWA or like Herbert W. Armstrong, that like the history of the church, Worldwide Church of God. Oh, we get so many actual members today that are on there. But just to explain what happened to the church real briefly. So in 94, it kind of split apart. Well, guess what? There are people who decided not to stick with the church because they wanted the old teachings. They're like, this is bullshit. I am not going to say that I just wasted my entire life believing this and give up. No. They said Satan's trying to deceive you. And so there were all these splinter churches being created at the time. No one knew where to go. They just kept popping up by old pastors and ministers of the church. Our parents left. What year did they move to South Carolina, Pats? I think it was year 2000.
98. No, 99. Because I was in college. Yeah.
Our family split apart because our father, he didn't go to church after that. After that doctrine change, and tell you what, that was the happiest day of my life, or so I thought. I was like, fuck yeah, I never have to go to church at all. I hated every moment, never believed in a God. I was like, this is the best. Unfortunately, little did I know, our father was listening to another radio, whatever the fuck you want to call it, pastor, minister, online voice, over in South Carolina, okay, which is where our parents live today. They moved there. I was 6 months from graduating high school. And so I had a shit life for a few years, just kind of moving around, homeless a couple times. It was awful. I haven't even told that story yet, Joe, but I'm sure you're going to relate to a lot of things in my past too. Okay. And Patti and I kind of kept in touch, but this other guy that our father was listening to, his name was Brother Stair. What's his first name? Ralph Stair, out of Walterboro, South Carolina. The name was the Overcomer Ministries, and I believe that's still a thing too. But they were there for a little while before they found another splinter church of Worldwide Church of God. I know it's kind of confusing, but some of the main splinters now of Worldwide is, first of all, they changed the name of the original with the doctrine change. It is now Grace Communion International. Is that correct, Pat? Grace Communion. And some of the main ones, the one that I despise the most is under David CPAC of Restored Church of God. I have much to say about him, much, because our mother just recently escaped his clutch, saying, oh, he was a little controlling. And for our mother to say something like that takes a lot.
Right.
So if you've seen this man's crap, watch X Restored COG on, is she on what, TikTok and YouTube as well, Pat? She posts all of his sermons. It's interesting. Watch it. Another one is Philadelphia Church of God under Gerald Fleury. Another one is House of Yahweh. There's also United Church of God, which I believe is not quite as strict as the other ones, but that's not saying much. So Armstrong's original teachings are still out there in the world. They're still floating around, and we're trying to raise awareness for what's going on here, to say this is harmful crap you're teaching people. This is not just, the manipulation of evangelical churches. This is on a whole nother level, which evangelicalism is a whole nother topic. But anyway, I'm rambling. You guys go ahead. Let me look at that.
No, you're great. I'm sure everyone finds
so weird.
Because it's kind of a unique thing when you have a cult with I mean, obviously most cults carry some kind of fanatical ideology, and when you try to take the fundamentalism out of the fanatics, they're not having it. Like you can't just unbreak everybody that you have brainwashed into certain things. And
how convenient is it that if someone disagrees with you, all you have to say is that person is being deceived by Satan. Boom.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. It's a cop out every time. But you mentioned like some of your struggles and stuff, and it's a common thing with a lot of atheists, not all, obviously, and there's people that come to these conclusions in many ways that don't include some kind of crazy struggle. But when you actually go through things that put some of your ideology to the test, it's kind of revealing. I've talked on here a lot about how people in jail will immediately go to Jesus. They're all of a sudden they're Christian and they're praying, and Jesus is going to get them out of jail. And there's a lot of that. There's several terms that we would use for those people, but it's kind of that thing. Like, you initially, whenever you have small struggles and stuff, and things are said like, oh yeah, it's only by the grace of God that I was able to make it through that. God must have been watching over me after all these bad things happened, and eventually it turned out you survived it.
And they know that. They have some radar. Christians have some radar. They know the vulnerability of people. And I think it's really just people put their trust all of a sudden in this entity they can't see, just because only broken people have been around them their whole lives, and only broken people have disappointed them because they don't know how to help themselves even to begin with.
But that whole thing that you're saying, Joe, just makes me so sad that they've been so conditioned throughout their life that when they do go through shit at the end of it, when they were the ones that were tough enough, and they were the ones that got through it, and they should honor the fuck out of themselves. And yet they're like, thanks, Jesus. What?
Whatever.
No.
Credit. And yes, pragmatic Crystal, absolutely, because in prison they got to leave the cell and attend church. It was the same in the military, actually. All of us went to church. You know why? Because everyone else was cleaning the barracks when everyone else went to church. That's why everyone went to church.
I went to church because we might get to walk by the girls' cell and see some boobs. I'm just kidding. That's not why I went, but that's why a lot of people went. But the
boobs are nice.
I usually
one for you, Joe. There you go. There's my. He's like, what do I do with that?
Yeah, you're always ready.
Always ready.
Jail church. A lot of times it was to pass things cell to cell. I went to church a lot in one jail because we were buying tobacco off the work cell, and then I was in the work cell and going and selling tobacco. I would go to church and come back with a new pair of shoes and a stack of envelopes, and it was envelopes were money. If you don't understand the thing there, but it's those struggles. Like, everybody has struggles of some sort, and depending on how low you've been in those struggles is kind of where that Overton window falls. Like, I can have something bad happen, like I may have a rough day or week or whatever, but it's nothing compared to the depths of a heroin addiction sick in a jail, so you gauge things a bit differently depending on what you've experienced and stuff. And that's normal. And I would say that makes sense even. When you start applying those things, though, like one of the things that Christianity certainly is guilty of is, I've pointed to this example before, but whenever 9/11 occurred, they took pictures of one of the cross beams with a flag flying off of it and said, see, God's here watching over the firefighters and stuff. And it's like 3,000 people lost their life, and this is how you want to somehow say that your God is doing something great here? It's gross. It's sickening. The stories like the whole house burnt down, but the family Bible didn't burn, and it's like, see, an angel was looking for the family heirloom. It's like, yeah, but the house burnt down and killed your family. What are you talking about? Like, it warps people's mind to look at the world in a way that discounts all those things, that like they're not real. Because all that matters is your soul and your spirit and that stuff, right? So they're like, not all again, but many of them are not capable of empathy because of that. Like it's an odd thing, and it's kind of gross, but
I mean, but we as a society did that to us.
Yes.
Yeah.
Accountability.
Yeah.
I think accountability is key to. Okay, so let me restart that. There's education is important. I hold education on a really high pedestal. I think that most of our problems could be solved by informed people, or by the average person just being informed about what's going on, which it has a lot to do with why I make some of the content I make. Not all. A lot of my content's all Philly, but
hanging out.
Also, though, like through your wisdom and experience, you become better socially, or worse, either way. But I think that it's really important to take accountability. And it's something I picked up through drug programs, actually. But like being accountable for not only the bad things, but the good things you do. If you do something good, acknowledge that you did something. It's not about being, you're not being, what's the word?
Taking away from God's glory, elevating yourself.
Well, yeah, you might do
bragging.
that. But whenever you're trying to give yourself credit for something, it's not wrong of you to accept that you may have helped in some way in some situation, because knowing that allows you to do it more. Like, and at the same
Yes.
time, if you screw up, learn from your mistakes and do better. That's
right.
there's a social aspect to it, to where you not only need a little bit of education, but you need those learning experiences. And
Mhm.
one of the things that threatens America currently, anyway, which is a small part of things, but one of the things that threatens us is we're trying to like erase our history of slavery and whitewash history. And
Mhm.
one of the big
Yep.
problems with that is America became what it did, and was proud of itself for overcoming the hardships, for taking accountability for the ability to overcome certain things. And sure, we didn't completely outrun racism or any of that, right? But we got away from slavery and stuff. If you want to go and erase that, you erase part of what makes you able to be proud of America, right?
Mhm.
Like,
I agree.
wars are bad and everything, but you may help some other people in that, and it's okay to acknowledge war is bad, but some good came from it. Call things like they are. Like,
Yeah.
quit
Mhm.
trying to make it about something it's not. Um the thing in Israel, everybody wants to take sides on it, and it's like they're all bad guys. Let's quit pretending that there's a good person in this fight. Like,
Mhm.
there's
Mhm.
two bad people fighting over religion when you bake it down to it, right?
Right.
Religion is at the root of all this.
Mhm.
Um,
Yep.
and there's innocent people dying.
Right.
There's two things there. It's not
Yeah.
just Israel is good or these people are good. It's bad for everybody. It's not a good thing. People tend to, and we're raised that way because of religion, right?
Yes.
We're taught
Mhm.
we're taught the good Christian people and the bad heathens. Um,
Yes, Joe,
Yep.
that's exactly what that was bringing up for me, is this idea that we dichotomize everything into like that's good and that's bad, and we're going to ignore the bad and we only want the good, or we're going to just catastrophize the bad and pretend there is no good, and like none of it works that way. It's
Right.
all a clusterfuck of good and bad going on at once, and until we can just be like, yeah, that's what it is, then we aren't going to be able to parse that out for ourselves and do better.
yeah, I mean, and I have yet to come across any situation, including years of drug rehabilitation and stuff, where adding religion into some important thing makes it better. It complicates things, and uh, makes it tougher. I mean, in every aspect, really, because then you have a whole nother set of things you're trying to live up to, and um, the only thing the church is critical about, certainly isn't its own doctrine or dogma, but the people that go to it. Right? They're very judgmental of their own.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I mean, you have whole branches of religions. The Catholics say that the Mormons aren't Christians. The Mormons say that the Catholics aren't Christians. And on and on and on. I could do that for a while. But
No, all of them are incorrect, Joe. Only the one
right.
we were raised in is the right one.
Armstrong
Yeah.
said so. It was
Armstrong
the true
said
church.
Yeah.
So,
That other right one.
did you have like weird rules and stuff outside of church that you had to like, that were different than your friends and people that weren't involved in it? Or were you kind of isolated to people who were all involved?
You know, we were kind of lucky in the fact that our parents did send us to public school. And I would contend that they did not realize how liberal my education in San Jose, California in the 80s was.
Yeah.
Like, I think somehow they just thought whatever had they got in the 50s was what I was getting to. Sorry, that wasn't the case.
The power of ignorance. Yay!
Yeah. So, I mean, that was helpful, but I think the thing that made me feel a little bit weird in those scenarios was that every year at the beginning of the school year, our parents would bring a letter that said, here's all the things our kid can't do, like no Santas, only, winter scenes, nothing Halloween, nothing Valentine's, and our dietary restrictions were a big deal. So I couldn't have pork things. So pork, shellfish, the Levitical stuff. So that was a little strange and always made me feel a little weird having to ask in the, school lunch line or whatever. But other than that, and not doing Christmas, I think that was probably the weirdest thing. And I felt special because we were elect, right? We were God's chosen. So that helped me not feel weird. It made me be like, well, yeah, I'm doing it different because I'm so special, guys. You should know that.
Better than everyone. You're going to Petra, Jordan, which is, by the
terrible.
way, the place of safety, Joe. Petra, Jordan.
But they conditioned us to think we were better, and that's so destructive.
It's so
sure, yeah. There's now see, like me, I grew up in Southern Baptist, which was the opposite of that.
Yeah,
we were told we were the worst. Like you're not better than anybody. You're an evil, awful thing, and so are they. Yeah. But if you listen to me, I've got the answers. Like it's one of them things. And but yeah, the Levitical things are kind of interesting because you don't see that in a lot of churches and stuff. And I get
not more
church. See, at first, whenever I heard about you guys, I thought for some reason I associated it with the thing the Duggars were involved in, which was very cold. But yeah, different thing. And so I'm gonna have to look more into the various parts of it. It's got the scent of like mixing a couple things, like Seventh-day Adventists and a little bit of Messianic Judaism, and
isn't that just what they do, right? They pick and choose what they want from
exactly right.
The Bible, and they create their own thing. And yes, native. I just ate bacon this morning. It was delicious.
Bacon. Yep. All hell bacon. Yes.
That was the happiest moment of my life. Bacon for the first time, huh?
I said I would worship bacon.
Yes, all right. There is a church of bacon, isn't there?
I think there is.
Oh, that's great.
I remember the first time I really got to have bacon. I was at a friend's cabin in Wisconsin somewhere, and her family had brought all their food, and they made this big plate of bacon, and like the church had just made that okay. And so I was all excited, and I ate a lot of that bacon, only to discover I was supposed to eat 2 pieces. Oops. It was me, guys.
I mean, you had to make up for some lost time.
Exactly.
Yeah. I think the hard part socially for me, Joe, this is kind of along the lines of what you were asking. When I got out into the world, obviously, I had a very different experience than Patti did. She was safely in college, and I don't know what the fuck I was doing. I don't remember half of it. But I just knew I was stuck into a world. I was thrown in at age 17 in this world that I was taught to hate. And I was taught to hate the people in it, and that I was somehow better than them because I was one of God's actual chosen, and everyone else was going to get burned up. I know we hear it all the time, but I really struggled with that as far as like making friends. I didn't trust anyone. I just looked at them like, even though I didn't believe in a God, like for my whole life, I just kind of was numb to the whole thing. I still just had this idea of like, oh, the world is such a dangerous place and I shouldn't be talking to people, so I was very antisocial for the first half of my life.
The more out there your indoctrination is, the more you see the differences between you and your peers, right? And so you're able to see those things, and those are those people, right? And they become different, and then whatever your indoctrination tells you as far as who's right about what. Of course, they're always right about everything. But
and I was kind of afraid to be happy. Like if I found myself laughing about something, I was probably sinning or doing something wrong, because I just remember being miserable all the time growing up. I don't even know if I laughed once. I don't remember a single instant. It was bad. And then all of a sudden, it took me years to realize, like, oh my God, you can go out and have fun and not feel guilty with it. I can.
I'm not asking your age, but what's the age difference between you two?
2 years apart.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't care, Nancy. We've said it a lot. I'm 44. She's 42.
42.
I would have thought you were younger than me.
Yay!
I'm 42.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Right in there.
Yeah.
Yes.
I knew we were close, but I would have thought you were a few years younger, actually. The you aged better than I did. Heroin has that effect.
Oh, you were rough on yourself, weren't you? It's fine.
Also, there's an awful lot of makeup going on here, so you
yeah,
know.
Well, and
I used my white trashy beard to cover up my facial features.
It's like, you can
I'm
hide a
from
lot of
Eastern
it.
Kentucky.
too.
It comes all splotchy like this by default.
I love it. Yes.
So
But yeah, that's how long it took for us to start talking about this.
So you guys probably grew up being like each other's friend a lot. I mean,
We
No.
were kind of not until our parents had moved to South Carolina to the other cult, Overcomer Ministries commune. And then Nancy lived her rough part of life. And then at some point, I don't remember what the trigger was, but I was like, that's it, Nancy. I'm coming to get you, because I had gotten myself into a little house in Minnesota, and I drove over to Wisconsin, and I was like, this is it. I'm taking you. Get in the car. And she lived with me for a little while and then joined the military. And I guess we've just kind of gotten closer ever since then. Ever since what? What was that?
Ever since our parents just kind of left us to our own devices, Pats. I think you eventually took me under your wing just because I didn't know how to do life. I really didn't. And I was going downhill fast. I think you more or less like continued raising me from that point, Pats. Like age 17 up. Don't I don't know if mine's gonna do it.
have the thing.
Aw. I think I can do it here. Yeah.
So did you guys go from you of course were indoctrinated into the cult beliefs and things like that. Was there like a period of time after that where you were still believers and continued that, and then later decided, hey, I don't believe this is true? Or
Yep.
how far down the road past the cult was that? Like,
So
You can
it's
start, Beth.
different. Yeah, it's different for each of us. We both had our little time in evangelicalism. Is longer for me. I would say for me, there was just this tiny window when I was in college and the church wasn't really a thing anymore, and I had mentally disengaged from the cult. So I had a chance, and then Chi Alpha and Campus Crusade for Christ came along, and I know. So bad.
number 2.
It was always because of a man. So in Chi Alpha, the leader was a nice looking man who thought I was nice looking. And of course, since he was the leader and I was one of the students, that probably wasn't a great idea. But it's what kept me coming back to churches. So anyway, that got me fully indoctrinated into evangelicalism. And then when I went out seeking to be an adult in the world after college, I kind of stuck with that because I didn't really know, how do you have friends and community in the world as an adult? And I didn't know life without a church, and so I was in an Assemblies of God church, because Chi Alpha is Assemblies of God college ministry. So I got into Assemblies of God in college and then continued on that. And yeah, that lasted about 10 years in total, I think, my journey through evangelicalism. And it was at the point that I was considering starting a family and thinking about what that would look like in the context of the church, and thinking about my kiddos going to the nursery, going to Sunday school. And it was like, that was the thing for me. That just made everything go, woof. Nope. Yeah. And I knew I couldn't do that to my kids. Like, it was like in my head, I said, I can't teach that junk or whatever to my kids. Like, I can't indoctrinate them. And then it was like, oh, I think I'm indoctrinated. And it was like that just made everything crumble real quick. Yeah.
Well, and then I was completely different. Like I said, I was on my own at 17, bopping around, doing whatever. And Patti eventually said, I can't see you do this to your life anymore. Got me out, moved up to Minneapolis. Because we grew up in California, by the way.
Sure.
I guess we didn't mention that we eventually our family moved to rural Wisconsin. So that's quite a difference. Not much diversity in that area.
No.
And so, there was a lot of differences between the church there. And then, I'm sorry.
What age did you join the military?
So I was 23 when I joined. And so basically from about 17 until 23, I think around that time, Patti had brought me up to Minneapolis, and I joined the military just because I needed some sense of direction in life. I needed a place I could call home, a family, because I didn't really feel like I had that. Oh, I needed to be told what to do too, Joe. I could not traverse this world on my own.
Sure.
I was so used to people just telling me, you are doing this wrong. This is what you need to be doing or you'll be punished. And the military, of course, was a perfect fit for that. And you know how it goes. So many people are Christians in the military.
Oh, yeah.
And we even started some formations with people praying. And I've never believed in a God, I would say. I don't think I've ever believed, but I did get sucked into that around the time when I got done with my deployment. It was 08, 09. And I was just surrounded by evangelicals. And I started going to a mega church, not because I wanted to, but because, that
was right when I got out too. You realize that, right?
Holy shit, really?
Yes, because 09 was when my first kid was born.
Wow.
It was same exact time. Because you were getting into Amway. And I was like, oh shit.
No. Amway too. MLMs work exactly the same way, Joe. And I was all in evangelical church. And I was in Amway for a very short time, and I hated every single second of that period of my life. Much worse than my early 20s. But eventually I got out of that as well. I just ended up moving away from the area, away from that influence, and started up a new life yet again. It's just, my life's been all over the damn place. And so I don't think I came out and actually said I was an atheist until years after that, because again, I don't want anything to do with this shit, but Christians keep putting their crap towards me, and I'm like, why can't people just leave me alone with this? Can't I just live my life in peace and make my own decisions? It was hard for them to allow me to do that. It was like trying to fend off flies around you. Okay, sorry to use that analogy. Not everyone's like a terrible person in the Christian church, and I have some friends that are. I'm just saying, you know what people I'm talking about. And eventually I just started listening to people like, I think it was Seth Andrews first. Then I heard Matt Dillahunty's voice on, back when he was on the Atheist Experience. And I think the rest was history, because it wasn't like I listened to these guys and I was like, and it started changing my mind. No, it was, this is how I think. And these dudes are saying it in a way that I am resonating with. I'm understanding now.
Yeah.
Like, finally, I found my people,
That's kind of my experience with that too, is like, I already didn't believe. And then when I discovered like Hitchens and Dawkins and Krause and Matt and Aaron and all those folks, it was like, it wasn't just that. It wasn't that, and I don't think most people watch that because they think it's convincing of something. I think it's a good way to get information about the questions that people ask, but also for me, it was just I couldn't believe there was a show where they were openly talking about your God doesn't exist, because that's like a no-no here. And their show actually showed on some cable access networks sometimes, and on like broadcasts, the Atheist Experience did. And I first discovered it, somebody was broadcasting it, and then I went and found them and listened to more of it. And I remember Richard Dawkins was entertaining because of his charisma, or not Richard Dawkins. Holy fuck. Christopher Hitchens was entertaining because of his charisma and his wit and his just ability to maybe not give the most thoughtful answer, but to give the thing that you're thinking, right? When he was asked about what's the most evil thing, that's easy, church. Well, I think he said religion, but it was to see people actually talking about those things was a big thing for me, because you didn't do that. Like,
Yeah.
it wasn't okay. And finding out that it was okay, and that there were lots of people out there that did talk about it, was just a big step for me. So,
And
Yeah.
doesn't that show the thought control that church indoctrination puts on us?
yeah,
That to you, you're like, oh my God, someone's even saying those words out
Beth
loud.
Andrews, yeah.
Whew.
Yeah.
I mean, that's huge to
It's like
realize, like, how
courage.
many of our thoughts do we take and just hide right
Right.
away because they
What,
aren't even
even though
safe
you
to
don't,
have?
yeah, even though you may like not believe in the same thing anymore, that doesn't mean that your whole culture changes overnight. I mean, like, you still
Yeah.
find yourself doing the things that are acceptable within the church or the whatever social group you were surrounded by, and it takes a while to understand that, oh, I'm behaving this way because that's how I was taught. Like, um, maybe I need to not just be critical of the ideas, but of everything. Like, maybe I need to be more critical of why I am doing what I'm doing and what my actual goals are in life. And you get at some point, for me, it was like an epiphany type deal. It was just all at once, like, I had this different outlook on what the world was, and what we should be doing. And I remember like seeing things where they would talk from the International Space Station, and they would be watching the live video of Earth, and they said, all those imaginary lines that we fought over, we don't see those up here. And it's like, yeah, like, it's not an us and them and all that. Like, really, I mean, in the bigger picture, it's we're all people, and we should take care of one another and treat each other in ways that benefit us all. It does me no good if there's two of us stranded on an island. It does me no good to hoard all the resources and make that person suffer. Like, instead, we work together and share resources to try and help each other. Like, there is no benefit to that type of behavior, especially when you come to the realization you don't believe the thing is true. And theists have a hard time understanding that you just don't believe it. Like, and they think they'll tell you things like, well, this is why you should believe, or you need to go to church, or this and that. And one of the things I say, and people sometimes disagree. If you disagree, that's fine. But belief is not a choice. You don't choose your beliefs, especially when it comes to something as fundamental as that. Like, you're either convinced something is true or you're not, or you don't know, which is fine to say. I'm convinced. See, and you go like, me personally, I would say, not only am I not convinced that a God exists, I'm also convinced that the Christian God does not exist. Like, does that mean I can prove it? No, but I'm convinced beyond any doubt that I have. I'm pretty sure that whole thing is contradictory, and to me, it's like somebody just woke up one day and made it up. It's like on the same scale as that. So it could be true, but what's the likelihood that you woke up today and invented an imaginary being that's all powerful and you're right about it? Like, it's like,
That's a great way to put
probably
it.
not.
That's great, Joe. I like to use the analogy of, if so, we say we don't believe or we're not convinced. Yes, that's true. I have tried to convince myself that there's a God for so many years, like my whole life, because my life would have been easier actually if I could have just been a believer. But again, Christians say don't lie. That's one of the commandments. Like, if I said I believed in a God, I'd be lying. So
They
I
want
was
you to fake it. Yeah.
lying the whole time. Wouldn't God know that I am faking
Is that
it.
what
Like,
God wants for me to just go through the steps? Right.
just admit it. But
Mm.
why would I believe this particular God and not another one? That's the thousands or however many God concepts are out there. And I said, if we have a choice in the matter as far as what we believe, then go ahead and shut off your belief for a moment. Like, tell
Yeah.
yourself you don't believe. Can you do it?
That's
No,
what
because
I
you're
do to 'em.
convinced that a God believes in the
That's
book
what I
God believe. I'm sorry.
That's what I do to them. I say it like whenever because Christians act like it's not that it is a choice a lot of times, not always,
No.
but sometimes.
Mhm.
Then
And
they
I'll
can
say, well,
not
that's
believe.
fine. You go ahead and believe. Can you go ahead and be a Muslim for the rest of the day? Like, you can do that, right? You can say that none of that other stuff's true, and that's the word of God. And to demonstrate that you don't do that. You don't get to pick whether you either think it's true or you don't. Or again, you don't know, and some people don't care. Like, my girlfriend's an atheist, but she's very atheist about it. She doesn't believe a God exists, and she also doesn't give a shit and has no desire to talk about it. Like,
Yeah.
it's not important to her,
Mhm.
which makes sense. Like, once you don't believe that and life is important, you're no longer interested in
Yes.
carrying on that conversation. I drive her nuts with this stuff, by the way.
Well, this is very important information to you. My husband, he's from South India and he was raised Hindu. His parents are, more cultural Hindu than anything, but he doesn't believe in any religion. Not that he's necessarily studied it. It's just not something that is much of an interest to him. Obviously, I'm interested in this topic because it affected my life so much that now I want to take a stand and get my voice back that I never had and make a difference. For him, he's just like, I don't care about this crap. Just leave me alone.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I
And
guess
yeah.
that's the other thing is one of the changes in perspective that I went through was I realized that so there's like YouTube channels, you may compete for things in certain areas or whatever. But in this thing, I want everyone to use their voice. If you feel like you have something to say, that you want to talk about this stuff, or that you just have that feeling you want to talk about it, you can come talk to me. But make your own channel. Do it. Take that step.
Yeah.
If you're able to do it by all means. The more people that speak out and openly talk about this thing that we're told not to talk about, which there's a reason for it, right?
Right.
The better we are. The more voices there are out there for you to make that informed decision.
Joe, so we actually just recorded our next episode, which is going to be airing, I think, next Saturday, correct, Pats? Next Saturday. Okay. The topic is circumcision, right? It's a really hot
no,
topic.
that one's farther out. That
one's further out. Okay, I'm sorry, but it's coming up. We recorded already, but we had someone lined up for it. Someone from India who obviously still has their foreskin. They don't do that over here, but he had to back out because not for the issue of the topic. He had no problem talking about anything in the sexual realm or circumcision. But he didn't want his family back into Sri Lanka to know that he was not a Buddhist. He was concerned for how they would react to it. And I thought, you're shutting your voice down because you don't want your religious family to know that you're an atheist. And I thought, that's all.
Like, yeah.
Yeah.
That's
and I know
it's
hard to speak out about that when you have your family and friends around you who don't feel the same way and they're going to be judging you for it. I get that. But this is how deep this shit runs. It's not that topic. It's the one that he doesn't want them to know about his atheism.
If you or somebody this is to the audience, if you or somebody is struggling with stuff like that, RFR has wonderful resources for people who how to talk to your family and how to have those conversations. Or maybe not. Sometimes it may be the case that it's better just to leave it as it is and not talk about it. But for people struggling with stuff like that, RFR has volunteers that are ready to talk to you any time of day or night, and excellent library of resources that they can refer you to. And yeah, there it is in the chat. Thanks, PC. Awesome. She's always on it. I can just make up something random on YouTube, and I guarantee you she'll have a link to it by the end of the sentence.
Yeah,
you're amazing.
You said super mod. You called her, right? And that was an awesome comment just now. Native atheist, you're the shit. too. Oh my God, I love you guys. Yep.
Where's Native Atheists?
Oh, you got a troll. Yeah. Yeah.
Not here.
Well, okay, so we're talking about belief, right? And I've had this idea that belief is a habit of thought.
Sure.
Because I went through a period of like, all right, what if I go into like, can I make myself believe something and can I back myself out of it? Because I had done it twice already, roughly, you know? And I found it to be true. Like if I decided I was just going to spend my YouTube time swirling on some woo-woo idea or whatever, like that shit started becoming real in my head, you guys. Like I could see it happening, right? And I would have to back my way back out of it and I could let it go again.
They did a study on having people like watch Fox News and then not right wing, not Fox News, and they found that like people would start to believe in some of the things that they're being told on there, and it's so you could put yourself in a position to be loosely use the word brainwashed, I guess, into thinking things that just aren't so, which is unfortunately, you know, one of the things that it's part of the human condition, right? We magical thinking sometimes gets in there. It doesn't even have to be magical thinking, just you're not being open to other ideas because you've heard so many times, this is the way it is, this is the way I'm supposed to think about this thing. And skepticism is one of the most powerful things that we can use, because you should be able to question those things. If you have some aspect of something you believe or something that you hold of great importance, you should be able to question that. And if you can't question it, you should know there's a real problem then, right? Like then you really need to look. But you should be able to question those things and accept the fact that, hey, I may be wrong. And if I am, how can I go forward and not be wrong, right? Like how can I do better?
Right.
And I guess it's hard to, depending on your culture and where you're raised and stuff, sometimes you forget like to be skeptical about something. You just accept it like, oh yeah, that's how it is.
Yeah.
And you find out sometimes that those things aren't the case. And that's why it's so good to take in a diverse variety of topics and information and listen to what the other side has to say, even if it's not great. Like I'm getting ready to do a response video. What kind of a response? It's more of a mockery, but to something that Donnie from Standing for Truth put out this morning. And not because I think that I am going to correct the scientific errors in it, but that's not even the main point, right? It's like I'm doing it as an exercise in skepticism to this thing is said, look how easy it is, we can look this up, and shame on you for trying to trick people. That kind of deal. And it's hard to do, but that's why it's great to have a community of like-minded people where you can then talk about those things. And the atheist community has, because the only thing we agree on is we don't believe a God exists. It has a diverse group of people, right, from all different backgrounds and professions and cultures and countries and all that, right? Yeah, diverse in as many ways as it can be, which makes it really, really awesome and really powerful, because we have Egyptologists and geologists and physicists and girls who grew up in cults and rednecks from Kentucky. Like we have all those. So the more people that get out there and use their voice and talk about these things, the more resources we have to better understand what and why people believe certain things.
Right. Yes.
Which also, the flip side of that is that it's unfortunate that it makes it difficult to have conversations with theists because their unwillingness to see that, right? Because all that diversity and all that wanting to learn and all those things, and their view on it is exactly the opposite. No, I have all the answers. Here it is. It says so. Nothing else to learn. Done. You
Mhm.
know, and it makes it sometimes hard to communicate those things. And we try though, right?
Well, yeah. And I guess for me, I recognize that, you know, to change someone's mind who's completely convinced does seem like this uphill battle. But I think about, like, why are they in that place? And they had these ideas. You know, we talked about, I was saying habit of thought. They had these ideas put in their head as the only things they could think about when they thought about the broader world from before the time they could speak.
Yeah.
And so, you know, when there's people who need to shout about Jesus in comments in live streams, dude, I'm really sorry. Like, this is our job, is to be doing the thing so that next generation coming in has a window outside of that, so that they're not stuck and unable to change those core beliefs that were put in there so young.
And that's
You
the
know,
important
like,
part, right?
yeah, like, see the world as it is and get to be you in it.
Yeah. Whenever you one of the things is, you talked about growing up in the cult and a lot of it being not a great experience, right? So when you see other people living life who have gotten away from that, that is valuable to just that, knowing that there is that group out there that is willing to talk about those things. And that's why it's so important that we normalize the atheist community and what we do. Because to make it okay for people, whether they believe or not, to come have conversations about important issues. I mean, we have more than half of our country, every aspect of how they view our world is based on deeply ingrained religious beliefs that are, for the most part, batshit crazy, irrational stuff.
Well, in the Christian realm,
It's bad for all of us. I mean, I want to be like, okay, everyone should have tolerance for whatever, but no, it hurts us all. So I don't want to be quiet about that.
No, and use your voice, and you never know who's going to hear it. Like, you don't. That's the reason that reason alone. Even if you're able to, you don't change anyone's mind, but one person that might become fanatical doesn't. The benefit that has in the long run is still there. Even if you don't change a mind at all, but you let people know that you're still capable of being a caring person and you care about them, whether they believe that or not, is important. So it's not about changing minds. It's never really. If you, and that's part of the reason why I push back against the arguing with theists so much. I don't care to have those conversations, and most of us don't. Like, if you want to talk about that, fine, we'll talk about it. But I'm not actively seeking out to argue with something that you're just waiting to speak. You're not listening to me.
Right.
Somebody else may hear it or whatever, which is a good thing. But I think there's better ways to have people hear your voice than always engaged in some kind of argument. So,
I guess the reason to do the debate thing is to go to the place where the Christians are, maybe, and the ones perhaps that are already kind of not sure, might be that moment. But yeah, I agree. All on fighting where it's not actually a productive conversation, I can't quite get on board with that myself. For sure, not for me to do it.
Right. And I think you and I are similar on that, really. I'm not seeking out an argument with anybody. I will engage with it occasionally, especially on social media. I don't mind typing a response and stuff, but I don't want to waste my day having a conversation on YouTube with someone who's not listening to me when I could talk to two wonderful sisters who have an amazing experience to share that can actually benefit others, and the people that are here listening, we're not changing minds, but they can still benefit from this conversation. Whereas the argument, they don't. They don't really. I mean,
Yeah.
sure, you can learn something or whatever, and that's cool. Like learning's great. And the big thing is don't misunderstand me. I'm not hating on people doing that. I think
Right.
that it's great they do. I think that Matt Dillahunty and the guys over at the line, I think that they do an excellent service, and that people that
Oh,
come
yeah.
wanting to learn how to address those conversations, that's a great place to learn to do it. I just think there
Yeah.
needs to be that other thing too, right? Like it's
Right.
okay for both things to be true.
Yes,
And
I agree.
like we talked about earlier, it doesn't always have to be this dichotomy of either it's this way or that way. Like the spectrum of things that the atheist community does, we see it out there, but it's kind of known for these call-in, argue with me shows,
Right.
rather
Yeah.
than just talking about how often do you see a theist talk with an atheist where they, one, talk about what they actually believe, and two, explain why they believe something to be true. You don't see that. Instead, you hear their arguments for why it's true that
Yes.
they repeated from Frank Turek or Ken Ham or
Oh, Ken Ham. He's your
Ken
favorite.
Hogan, you know, like you don't get to actually understand the people. All you do is hear
Right.
the same tired ass argument, and that's not really valuable to some of us. To others, it's very valuable, and they need that. And I'm glad they do it, and it's
Right.
obviously popular on YouTube. But
Yeah.
to others, you know, it's there's this other thing too that we need to do, and it's getting to know the people who are our community and why they're part of our community. Because
Yeah.
that thing that the theist isn't talking about, a lot of the atheists aren't talking about either, and they should be. You know, they go and like Neil the 604 Atheist, excellent show, does a great job, and him and Mikey are great at walking people through that conversation of deconversion and stuff. And but
Yes.
you, as an atheist, I found that I had told my same story the same way like 3 or 4 times, and that's cool. I'm glad as many times as I'll tell it again today if you want. Not really, but the I realized that I needed to kind of expand on that some and
Yeah.
talk more about not just the objective things that took place and are true, but some of the feelings and some of the experience that goes with that, because
Oh, yeah.
other people feel those things too.
Well, and we're
Mhm.
kind of playing around with where we're going with our channel too here, Joe, because we really didn't know where we wanted to take this. We just knew that every time we talked on the phone, we kept coming back to this topic and realizing, oh, that shit that's going on in my life, we can pinpoint that back to something else that happened when we were in the cult and why my mind thinks that way. And so we started this, and now all of a sudden, I think we have 4 different series paths. I mean, we have our main channel where we just kind of talk about whatever topic we want. Right now we're focusing on bodily autonomy because there's a lot to be said from a woman's perspective, for sure. But then we also have our Unpack It series where we read cult literature and kind of pick apart what our cult leader was talking about, maybe where his mind was at, and kind of just trying to figure out where our parents' minds were at. Like, why were our parents so indoctrinated in this that this became our entire childhoods, that affected our learning process and into adulthood. And we also interview people like yourself, Joe. If anyone else has not seen it, we interviewed Joe recently, and
We
his
did.
interview is doing so good. It's doing so good, Joe. You have
I'm
such
almost
a
embarrassed that you say that.
Why?
I just wouldn't expect it to be doing that well.
Do you want me to take it farther? Joe, you're a star on the Apostate Sisters channel.
Yeah. I you know what I hate about that is my lighting and green screen looked like crap that day because I had just got this light and didn't have it set up. And I've watched that video. I don't watch videos of myself either, so that's a big thing. Like I went and watched the video though, and yeah, I've like never really sat through one of my own videos.
All that editing for nothing.
You want to come back, do another?
Hey, I'm always happy to talk to you two. I love talking with you two. I think you're, although we have like are from vastly different parts of the country and had, you know, vastly even the opposite in a lot of ways upbringing. I feel like we do the thing, you know, like
Yeah. Yes.
we seem to be open and easily talking to each other and bounce off of each other well. I think that
Oh, yeah.
you guys are easy to talk to. I try to be that way.
You
I
are that way.
remember back when Nancy first followed me and on YouTube, I think it was. It might have been
Yeah.
Facebook, but when you first, no, it had to have been YouTube. You first followed me on YouTube and was like, "Hey, we have this channel, the Apostate Sisters," and because I say hi, if you message me or leave a comment, I almost always answer in some way. Yeah.
Hmm.
Sometimes it may just be like I heart it or something, but I look at all those always.
Yeah.
And I answered back, and she was like, "We have this channel," and I think you had maybe like 200 subscribers at the time.
Could have been.
Could be.
It was right after Baja Con, and that's how I found you, Joe. Is I was
Right,
looking at
right.
Baja Con material about it, and there you popped up, and I think one of your friends was there and was talking about it.
Yes.
So I was like, "Who is this guy from Kentucky?" Because again, Kentucky's like a second home for me. I've been there 3 times since I got connected with you, but I just haven't been close enough to your area there. You're closer to like the edge of Ohio and West Virginia, if I'm not mistaken.
I
right?
live on the border, literally.
Okay, well, yeah. I've been to Is it Gallipolis,
Hmm.
Ohio? And
We
like
call it Gallipolis here, but yeah,
Gallipolis.
Gallipolis would
Oh,
would
I
be
don't
fitting
know.
too.
I
Well,
don't
no,
know.
I get
Funny.
it. Like Illinois, and
Yeah. Well, in Kentucky, you guys do say Versailles.
Versailles. Yeah, we don't have Versailles. We have Versailles.
Oh.
And Milan. Milan, it's pronounced Milan down there, right?
Mine? What? I don't know what you're
Like
talking about.
Milan, Italy. You guys pronounce it Milan?
Oh.
I would read that. I don't know because I know the word now, so I would probably get the right thing. But I would feel like they would say Millen,
Milan?
going down
Okay.
Millen.
There was
Down,
another one down there.
you
There
know,
was
down the
another one
road,
that,
down
like,
by outside of Millen. You go through Millen, and then
Milan.
you go by Creek Branch Road Creek, and then you
Mhm.
make a left at the fork in the road down there by the old war memorial thing. Down
Yeah.
where Johnny Bob's kin lives there on the corner.
Well, yeah.
By the creek.
By the crick. That's what we
Yeah.
said in Wisconsin too. The crick. Except it'd be by the old whatever farmstead,
Maya, are you
Yeah.
in Illinois, dear? Because I live in Champaign, if you are. But yeah, I was just in Red River Gorge, Joe. That's a beautiful place. I had no
Amazing.
idea it was like it's not hillbilly feeling. It's like you have these like climbers from all around the world that go there, and
Well,
it's actually kind
those
of
are tourists.
yeah, tourists, I guess. Yeah, they were visiting, but that was a beautiful area. But yeah, Kentucky's got some great spots. Illinois.
Kentucky, I do give it up to Kentucky on being a beautiful place. I still find myself, because I worked cutting grass for years, up until I had some health problems. That's what I've done. I ran a lawn company with like 400 yards for a number of years, and I would find myself stopping even in the evening and seeing a sunset in the hills and trees of Kentucky and stop and take a picture of it. I probably got 200 pictures of sunsets on my phone. Or a storm rolling in over the forests and stuff back off in the distance is Kentucky's beautiful. A lot of natural beauty in Kentucky.
And you guys have bourbon. I am all about the
We have
bourbon.
more bourbon than people, actually.
Fuck yeah, dude. That's the way it should be.
Yeah. It is a
funny,
fact.
man.
There are more
Everyone.
barrels of bourbon in Kentucky than there are people.
Oh.
But Kentucky has, like, first of all, deeply red state, right? So there's going to be some of that. And the trucks and Trump flags and things are very common. I always say Kentucky is a beautiful, amazing place with we've got caves and rivers and lakes and big, huge forests and these natural rock formations and historical Native American locations. We have all those things, but then you start talking to the people, and they're very much the For me, it's always like the South Park thing, the stereotype they give the country people. We don't take kindly to your kind around here, you know.
Yeah.
It's that kind of thing, and especially when it comes to brown people and LGBTQ people, and not and we're getting better here. It is getting better, even in the small towns and stuff. People are becoming more tolerant, and I feel like it's moving in the right direction. But
Good.
Yeah.
all that stuff that we are not around those things, like we have all the woods and the little towns and all that stuff. Well, the downside to that is we're about 20 years behind where modern civilization has made it to, right? Like
Mhm.
it's still acceptable for people to use the N word and to use slurs towards LGBTQ people just openly. Like
Oh.
Yeah.
when I grew up in a church where the pastor used the N word every now and then. I mean, not like constantly, but that was his choice descriptor. I don't know what to call it. Um,
Wow.
and it's
So you're saying like whenever I make it out there to where you're at there in Eastern Kentucky, it's okay to bring my husband? Like, is everyone gonna be
yeah, yeah,
giving
yeah,
them
yeah.
nasty, the stink
I
eye?
mean, obviously, I think you're intelligent enough to not put yourself in. You're not going to go out in the country and go walk up on somebody's land or anything.
Well, no, I
Yeah,
just know
right.
there's places I'm not gonna bring him. So,
Oh no,
things
he
that
would be fine here. I mean, it just don't cause any trouble, don't get arrested. But
well,
as
if we do,
horrible as
I'll
that
take the
is, like,
blame, not my hubby.
yeah, um,
Actually, the most racism I've ever seen against my husband was actually in Door County, Wisconsin, believe it or not. There was a couple incidents because we used to go every year. He's a skydiver. He goes to this boogie up on Washington Island. It's a beautiful place up there. And we're actually from Wisconsin too. We lived there quite a bit. But for some reason, it's a lot of older people up there. So I think that was the problem. And they
but
rarely see anyone dark skinned.
you wouldn't face any danger, most likely. Like, I would just about promise that. Of course, I can't promise for other people, but like, I think, and I'm just being honest and open here. I think the issue you would have, like, is if you went in the local Walmart, you might get some looks of a white woman being with a brown person, like that kind of thing. That's,
Yeah.
you know, that's kind of treated like that still by a lot of people, and someone may even make some kind of comment or something about it, but uh, that's becoming less acceptable, and because of movements like the ones that we're all fighting for,
Mm-hmm.
it's we're getting the word out there that it's not acceptable to treat other people that way,
Right.
and that we're all just people. Sometimes we look different. Uh, the pastors that I grew up with using the N word at the pulpit is not acceptable anymore. I'm
Mhm.
sure there's a few places where that still goes on. I've got one in mind right down the road that I'm positive there's racism and stuff there, but like, it's
Sure.
not. It used to be everywhere. Like, um, when I went to elementary school, dropping the N word wasn't even, like, they wouldn't even say anything at school. You could say
Yeah,
it.
that's terrifying. Yeah.
There was a black kid that came to my school for a month, and his family had to move to another town
Holy
because
shit.
of the way they were treated. The They burnt a cross in their yard. Yeah, it's not like that now.
Okay.
So while there is still some huge problems in Kentucky, and definitely a lot of bigots and hateful people, as unfortunately some of those extreme right wing groups tend to be. They're, it is part of it, but it's getting better.
That's good.
They're having to hide it more now. It's not acceptable to act
Good.
that way in public, which I know that's not like the best progress, but it is progress. And
Yeah.
so,
It's getting there. Our cult leader was well, extremely racist, but he hid it pretty well. I think towards the end of his life, as he's getting into his 90s, he just didn't give a shit anymore, and so he started saying how he actually felt about things, and he actually used terms like white strain and it is the superior race. And like he said in his last book that white people were not supposed to integrate with other races. That was a big no-no in the church. It was like they could have black people in their church, but you couldn't marry them. You couldn't really associate with them. Like it was frowned upon.
They had segregated seating.
I'm sorry, what?
They had segregated seating for a long time. And there was like, they were extreme about the races not mixing in marriage, like all the way through. They kept it completely on the DL, but all the way through, they were stopping people from interracial marriages.
Yeah.
Now, and Sumami, what you're saying here, I want to point this out because the interesting thing that most white people don't even recognize anything other than the flat out use of the N-word is racism.
Mhm.
Yeah. So just because it's not just overtly using the N-word doesn't mean it's okay. And it doesn't mean it's not racism. And that has been a big thing that whenever, learning to recognize the dog whistles and the things that the people aren't saying is something that unfortunately me and many others have had to do. And I know some very racist, bigoted people in this area, but I also know a lot of people who are absolutely not that. And they outnumber those people by a lot. It's the those people are the exception, not the norm now, whereas they used to be the norm. And so there's still a long way to go, and people will have to. This is why education's so important to understand that we're all people, and then the empathy thing follows with that. Like the it's Kentucky. I mean, it's not hard to go find examples of racism in Kentucky's past. Now, short story, sorry, but unless do you want to comment before I say this, because you'll like this actually.
I got nothing but time, Pats. How about you?
I'm just do it. Go for it.
So whenever I went to prison in Kentucky, and a lot of prisons around the country are this way, not just Kentucky, but when I went to prison, it was very much race segregated. And not just by the prison itself. The prison itself had to segregate people for the sake of violence, but it wasn't okay for me to go just sit with the black guys at Chow Hall. It wasn't okay to just go use the same phones that they used or use the same showers that they used. And there were gangs around these things, both black and white, and Mexicans in some of them. But it was all very basic around race. Now, not to say that there weren't ways to go play basketball or lift weights or play cards. Like I could associate with them. And I wasn't even in a gang. Like I'm just saying, like even as just being a white person, if I just went and took to the black people and hung out with them, then the white gang would catch me somewhere and kick my ass in a corner, and then the because it was gang related, the black people in this case are being racist also, and so I'm a white dude, they want to kick my ass. So by not sticking with your own race, I mean, it was a matter of self-preservation in a lot of cases. But there's also, once you learn the ropes of that, you learn how to just keep to yourself. And keep to yourself doesn't mean not to talk to people. It just means don't put yourself in them positions. Don't
Mhm.
Holy shit, Joe.
yeah. So seeing that, and there's no, the bad thing about that is that there is no excuse me, there is no like quick answer to how to fix that.
Right.
The they separate by race, they just do. And you have like it's still okay to like do business as in like drug sales and things like that between races because that's money. But it's almost like it becomes this racism for the sake of racism type deal because
Mhm.
they do those things. And but there are those like the Aryan Nation, the Brotherhood, they frown on a lot of those things. And um, it's just, I don't know, it's a different kind of racism. It's a whole different world, really. There's all different rules.
Sure.
Yeah.
But I was actually involved in a race riot. The so what had happened is a large group of both black and white people went to I think it was like an AA meeting or something. Like 20 people from each cell went. And what had happened was um, we were so we were getting our lunch. And one of the Woods, I guess he was I think he was probably a gang member, just how tatted up he was, but I'm not sure about that. But um, this the guy in front of him, a black guy, had gotten his stuff and like was taking a minute in line, just took a second to get through line. That's how stupid this is, because it's over something so insignificant. Um, he was like getting his a juice or some shit, and the guy said, "That's a black ass Negro right there." Is the words that he used. Um, Definitely not the worst thing he could have said, but like not necessary.
Right.
So the other guy was a gang member for sure. He went back to his table with his gang members and told them what happened. And the other guy went and they got word that they were upset, so they started organizing. Well, this whole AANA thing, I just happened to go. I was just there. Like there was a bunch of people there. And afterwards you go down through some doors, a couple different sets of doors, and you end up in I call it a vestibule, um, uh, where the pods are, like a hallway where there's like 3 or 4 doors that go back into other pods of the jail. So not really in the pod yet, right outside of it. Vestibule, I think, is the right word. But such a weird word. But so whenever we get out there, a lot of times the doors to the pods themselves were popped open because you could set trash outside or trays or whatever. Well, in between the pods though, there's a door, and whenever everybody went back from all those cells, I wasn't even in the cell with those guys. When they went back to where they were in their individual pod area, they popped both the doors at the same time. And when they popped both doors at the same time, everybody rushed out into the hallway and all hell broke loose. And it was like I don't know, like 50 people, 60 people fighting in the hallway, stabbing each other with golf pencils, which are like this long. So it doesn't do any real damage, but it hurts. I got poked in the side with one, like and I wasn't even fighting. In fact, what I did was I went to I was like, there was a window that you could see into one of the pods from, and I was like pressed up against that window because of all the people fighting behind me. Like my face almost pressed against the window because there were so many people in there fighting. And when I turned around and pulled away from that window, I guess somebody thought I was fighting, and he like poked me with his little pencil, and not as big a deal as it's not a big deal, but he knew it wasn't going to do any real damage too. But they came back there with multiple fire extinguishers of this like pepper spray foam stuff, and just hosed down the whole place. And I had a footprint, like a size 13 footprint on my chest. Afterwards, somebody stepped on me because I hit the ground when I started spraying.
Tsunami mentions the movie Idiocracy. Yeah, I was actually getting those vibes too. I recently watched Idiocracy. Yeah, with the pods. That's what it feels like.
Yeah, very.
We're very far off from that movie.
There's a lot of things in that movie that are similar to many Kentucky jails that I've been into. I've been in several. But they have this foam stuff though. Is like it's a like an orangish red. It's like a real thick foam. Looks like like the stuff on a lemon meringue pie.
Yeah,
like the thick stuff. It's like that, and it's like pasty kind of too. So whatever it goes on, it just gobs of it stick, and it ruined. In fact, I had an orange T-shirt after that wasn't orange before. The stains wouldn't come out because of the pepper spray. But
good Lord.
They pepper sprayed the hell out of all of us with that foam stuff. And then because when you get pepper sprayed, they have to fill out papers and they have to take you up front and decontaminate you because it's a toxin, right? So then they have all these people that just got in this big fight lined up in different areas up front, and they take you in the cold shower and make you stand there for so long is pretty much what they call decontamination. Whatever the least they can do to get by with it on paper, I guess.
And do they throw flour on you too?
Flour?
Like in Super Troopers? Oh no, that was powdered sugar.
No, but they did throw powder de-louse stuff on us.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, like stuff. It looks like powdered sugar. They just
I don't know what the fuck they
in it and then make you wash it off.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you come in, you would go in and they watch you take a shower, and you shower, and then they throw that crap all over you and make you stand there for 5 minutes, just with that stuff all over you, freezing cold. 2 or 3 of them standing there just looking at you, and then they let you rinse it back off. But you go and take a shower for the pepper spray. That thick ass foam pepper spray, when you wash it off, it doesn't just fall off; it runs down your body.
And burns. You said it, yeah. So
yeah,
burns coming down too.
Oh
gosh.
Yeah.
No.
So it was, and for like 3 days, it was misery. Not just my eyes and face, but my skin everywhere that it touched, and and I wasn't even in part of the fight.
That sucks.
But yeah, just a story about racism and the stupid things that trigger people to be racist assholes. Like, you just don't know, and that's the problem with that kind of ideology and that view on people, is you're just looking for a reason to be a racist prick.
And, well, yeah, and deep down, how good do they really feel about themselves if they have to, put down someone else?
Yeah.
Well, to that point, Nancy, I was gonna say I would say probably the less autonomy someone has, probably the more of those things are going to be true for them, right? The racism, the hate, the whatever. Like, if they haven't had autonomy in their life to know who they are and feel like they're valued by the society in which they live, and I just don't think that, and I'm speaking as a white lady who has no idea, but I just don't think that jail or prison is the place that honors a human. And that's kind of a problem. Makes me very angry.
Rehabilitation, for sure.
No, that's fucked.
They're going to be worse off, like you said, Joe. And you're going to do on our channel.
Jail is not rehabilitation in any way. It's
you make better criminals, right?
Exactly. You just learn how to. You learn more criminal skills. Is all you.
Right.
You come up with ways to be sneakier, to be worse. That, and again, education's a big part of that too. Not to mention that most of the population in a prison, they're not the most educated people. Now, not to say there aren't very smart, very crafty, creative people in there. Is not the case, because there very much is so that. But
Sure.
overall, you're talking about an uneducated population, and the way that they're part of an in crowd, an in group in such a vulnerable place is just happens to be based on race. And I guess it costs a lot of money to fix that, and so they just let it happen. And
well, we've made the whole system an industry that's adding to the GDP. So
well, Kentucky's big on that now, on the private prisons and stuff. That's a big thing. That's big money here.
how are we ever going to make it good for people when we need it to turn a profit? I will not understand that.
The goal of the DOJ and the justice system in general is not to rehabilitate anyone. It's to keep people on paper, to keep getting funding for this program and that program, and get paid for this and that, and to make jobs in prisons and jails. And so, like, for example, I was given my very first charge that I ever got in trouble for, forgery and burglary, was the 2 felonies they charged me with. I'd never been to jail or anything. But what ended up happening with that case is first they wanted to give me a diversion, which they wanted to give me 2 years probation for a 2-year sentence. And if I walked off the 2 years, it doesn't go on my record. They ended up violating that probation on the last day of it, and then having me do the time, and then putting me on probation again during the time, to which they can keep locking you up and putting you back out, and locking you up and putting you back out. And yes, it's true, if I would have behaved, maybe none of that would have happened. But they give you no resources in order to do that. It's, hey, we made you lose everything. Now figure it out without being a criminal. Like,
right?
Yeah. And there's just no, it's just a circle of recidivism. And
this is something my husband brings up all the time too. He doesn't understand the American prison system, because he's looked into it too, and he says, well, if you serve your time, you've been punished for this, and then you go back out into society, that shit ain't gone. You did not serve your time in a way. I've
got a degree in computer science. I will never hold a professional job in that area. Well, I mean, I'm probably not going to hold any more real jobs at all here going forward. I imagine I'm going to be on disability here pretty soon. But like, I've had that for a while. I can't get a job in that area for things that I did when I was a kid. And just recently, in the last couple of years, and I actually didn't even know it, but I could have voted this year. I just was able to vote as a felon. Kentucky just now fixed that. Bashir did. Not that in the state of Kentucky it would have mattered anyway, but I would have still done it. But you're disenfranchised, right? You're not able to get a job. You're not able to work certain jobs. It follows you for the rest of your life, even though you served your time, even though you haven't done anything to be in trouble in a long time. It doesn't matter. It's always there. And
it's just a way to keep a certain type of people away from society.
And that's very much the point that I was driving at.
Never meant to hurt anyone. It's just they were traumatized in their life. They made a mistake, and they really didn't mean to do it. And this shit is following them the rest of their lives. And guess what? They're not going to get any better. They're just going to get worse.
The probation and the jail and the parole and the bail and all those things back and forth that they do is just to keep a thumb on you, just to keep you on a piece of paper. It's not about rehabilitation in any way. It's about a judge saying, see, I held this many people accountable. Elect me again.
Another number in their system, another number in their tally.
A number on a piece of paper. And
gross.
99% of all cases end in a plea bargain. So whenever they appoint public defenders, public defender doesn't even care what you did. It's like, oh, hey, you're facing 5 years. Let's see if we can get you 2. Let's see, you haven't been in trouble. We'll see if we can get you probation. Not knowing a damn thing about the case at all, because they don't care, because they know how the case is going to end. They all end in plea bargain. And if you want to fight, even if let's say you're completely innocent, if you want to fight that and you don't have money, then you sit in jail and fight it for over a year on something you might do 3 months over. So you can fight it and sit in jail and continue to be not guilty, innocent until proven guilty, right? Or you can go and just say you're guilty and get out of jail and be free and guilty. So
I hate that.
Very much doesn't make sense.
It makes me so angry, guys.
Yeah, those are things that I think about all the time.
Oh, it all comes down to money.
Well, I just think about the humans involved in this. Yeah. These are humans that got broken from the beginning, and then we just keep doing this to them? Yeah. Come on. Like, I mean, I think it's the same, not the same necessarily, but, like for cult kids, church kids, getting our brains broken early on, like our bonding experiences when we're young, like all of these things add up to where these people land, and then we're making it worse for them. Mm-hmm. Why aren't we moving to a model of healing and processing and like rebuilding life skills? Like, it's so infuriating. And I guess if all I've got is this little platform with 600 and whatever people watching it, I'm going to shout about stuff like that. Because to me, these things are not separate from like our experience growing up. Like it's all connected, right? Like how we treat people. And if that comes from Christianity, which I would contend it kind of does, to your point, Joe, about as a Baptist, them just telling you that you were awful your whole life. Like, what else are you going to do in your life if you've been told you're awful the whole time?
Yeah.
Right. Like what happens to kids when we let them know that they own themselves and that they're capable of amazing things, and you can have friends and we can build things together as humans? Like, God damn it, we could change the whole world in one generation if we started treating people different.
Yeah, I was taught pride was an awful thing. And it turns out that it can be. Everything is bad in extremes, right? Extremism is going to be bad pretty much no matter what the ideology is. Even if you take humanism to an extreme, there's ways in which that can be a very negative thing, right? Even though it's completely based on something else. It's so there and that, so you can have pride, and it's good to have a little bit of pride about the good things. It goes back to the accountability stuff. Like whenever you let people know, yes, you are capable of this thing, you are capable of using your voice, and it's okay to admit that your voice may help someone else. It's not a bad thing to want to help people. Kids are raised and indoctrinated into religion, which teaches the opposite. Like where I live, Southern Baptist, again, like even as a kid, the first time I was told I was going to hell was when I was 5. Like and it was that from then on. You're an awful wicked thing. Humans are wicked by nature. Every time you think of something that's not God, you're sinning, and you deserve to go and burn in the depths of hell with weeping and gnashing of teeth. And I tell you, no, I'm not going to do that. But I like your hand. Yeah, that it's when that's all you get. And for me, like I was raised in an area where the church was also like intertwined with the school system and everything else. So, and in a small town, everybody knows what everybody's doing. Everybody knows that Mrs. Smith's kid pissed on that wall over there. So there's always something for them to criticize and be up in your shit about. Yeah. And the church felt like it was their place to show up uninvited and tell you all the ways in which you're fucking up, like often. And that doesn't help anybody do better.
That was our entire childhoods, just all the ways we were fucking up, and then we got physically beat for it. Nice way to learn, right?
Yeah.
Oh, thanks, Native.
Yeah. Native Atheist with a $10 super chat. Thanks, Joe, and your guest. Thank you, Native, for being here. And thanks, everybody else for being here. Let me real quick while I've got a crowd here and stuff. Thank you to everybody that showed up and watched today. Please click the like and subscribe button. Helps the show out so much. If you're not subscribed to the Apostate Sisters, you definitely should be. A great channel, lots of fun. The topics are always interesting and great. Many of the guests I've had here have been on their channel, and vice versa. In fact, I met David Fitzgerald on your channel, who is a friend now. He contacted me actually afterwards and was like, "You're from Kentucky and an atheist? That's so awesome!" And
I love it. That's my favorite part of doing this. Is seeing people connecting, like, oh, do you know this person over here? Because once you find like your tribe, or you find people that you resonate with, that's where the real growth happens. We can do this together. And I loved seeing David on your channel, Joe. And I was like, oh, I think he met him because he was on our channel. Yay!
No, I had, in fact, and we didn't even talk really on that panel on your channel. He said a couple words to me. I said a couple words to him, and then afterwards, I think it was the next day, he sent me a message on Facebook and was like, "Hey, I can't believe you're an atheist activist from Kentucky. I really support what you're doing, and I would love to talk to you sometime." And I said, "Hey, why don't you come on my show?" And we had a great conversation, and even have talked since. And like our own friendly, I could just holler at him and say, "Hey, what's up?" And that's a normal conversation. And you're right. That's a big thing, is the networking and the people that we get to talk to. Like, I couldn't imagine getting to talk to a famous author about about the topics that he writes about, or to sit down. Why would a doctor of biology sit down and talk to me about? I'm not a professional, but because of this, I've gotten to have those conversations with Egyptologists and biologists, and
and neither are we, Joe. Patti and I both have careers that have nothing to do with what we're doing here at all.
And aside from that, like the great people that you meet that aren't those things, I don't even really view it that way anymore. Like, I don't care what Mark Reed or Ember or Maya Atkinson, I don't really care what they do for their job. They're if somebody's a professional, I like to know, just so I can cite that as a source or something later. Like, oh yeah, I talked to a professional about this thing. That's helpful. But you make friends, not just professional acquaintances. And the people that I've met and made friends with in this community, you can hear I'm losing my voice. They are a lot of amazing, great people. And just like we were talking about with if you just give people a chance and give them the tools to do the thing, they do amazing things. And that's exactly what we see here. Like, you just meet those people and give them a chance and listen to what they have to say, and they will impress you, and they will make meaningful change to the way that you view other people, your fellow man or woman. So yeah, awesome people. And thank you for making that happen.
I think we're all getting sick, aren't we? I think both Patti and I are feeling under the weather today. We're just like, no, I'll just keep doing this. We might cough on occasion.
Well, I had the flu a couple weeks ago, and where I had heart surgery and stuff, the things leading up to that was me having septic pneumonia for like a month. And
I remember you mentioning that on our the interview on our channel. Yep.
I've got a lot of scarring and stuff on my lungs, and now I have sleep apnea, where I'm an obese man. And
that's very common, though. Oh, for anyone, not even someone who's considered obese. It's crazy. Anyone. Oh, wow.
I got a CPAP machine now.
I wasn't expecting that.
That's good. That helps a lot, doesn't it?
Actually, it has. It's been difficult getting used to. I fell asleep on a live stream last night and was snoring. There's actually a video on my
Oh, I
channel.
saw that. I didn't get to watch it yet to see what that was
Hold
about.
tight for a moment here. It's only a minute long. We can play that. It's funny. But yeah, so my sleep's been kind of messed up. I've only had it for a week. So
Oh.
I'm getting used to it, and it's been tough. But
Oh my gosh, I bet you're gonna feel so much better when you're used to it, though, to actually
well,
sleep through
already
without all
I
the
noticed,
waking up.
like, yeah, even though I only sleep like an hour at a time right now, when I wake up and I look and I see it says I had 42 events in an hour, like,
Ooh.
I still feel better knowing that I'm breathing, you know. And I fall. One of my big problems was I wasn't sleeping before either, because when I go to fall asleep, right before I doze off, I get short of breath and wakes me up.
Yeah.
And that machine has fixed that. That doesn't happen at all now. And
I've heard all those machines are phenomenal. They really help a couple friends of mine too that have the same issue.
it's actually
These are the reasons I'll never be sad about the time I live in. Oh, it's that small.
and it doesn't make a sound.
Wow.
It's got like water in it.
Well, it doesn't make any noise. That's good. I know someone who
doesn't make a sound at all. It doesn't ever make a sound.
But your heart does, right? Your heart ticks every so often.
Oh yeah, no, I tick like a clock. You can actually hear that. But,
yeah, on our interview of yours.
Yeah.
You had your little tick tick. I don't know if that made it in the final edit. I did have to take a lot out of that.
No, it didn't. But I don't blame you. Like, in fact, I think you guys edited that perfectly. I'm glad you made it the way you did, because
I just made it a little shorter. That's all.
Yeah.
It was a great conversation, though. Yeah.
No, I think that you cut the best parts of the conversations and left out a lot of my rambling and things that I do.
Oh, did you actually watch it? I thought you didn't watch anything.
No, that's what I was saying. I watched it. I don't normally watch myself.
Okay, awesome.
Watch this though. This is funny. This is only like it's less than 2 minutes. I was on Captive Desk Dave's channel last night, Saturday night at the Atheist, and here you go.
We're saying that those neurons and the process by which those neurons interact with each other create the concept of good and evil. Mainly to do with, in my personal opinion, to do with hormones and what's the word I'm looking for? Like dopamine or oxytocin. Right, and the oxytocin system within the brain and the body, right? Those are what create ideas of empathy, right, and bonding between humans, and that's what gives rise to some idea of morality or good bonding with your child, bad killing your child, right? That's basically what you're talking about. So there are personally natural explanations for these concepts and how we use them. Right, and again, the fact that you're just saying it can't be this way, therefore it must be God, is classic God of the Gaps argument.
Well, but at the same time, but he's using the terminology too. Yeah, we can't just be neurons firing. That is exactly what it is.
Well, that's exactly a God of the Gaps argument. When you say I can't, it's incredible. How did that happen? It can't be that, you know what I mean? Right, well, okay, then that's just an argument from ignorance or incredulity. And that is a typical God of the Gaps move.
Okay. Now, let me just conclude.
Right, here we go.
A better explanation
to
God.
I don't know how well you can hear
You're
it
so
through the whole
lucky you had
thing
your
without
camera
headphones.
off.
Huh?
You're so lucky you had your camera off.
Oh yeah,
Or
yeah.
You had on the desk.
With the if you have headphones on, you can hear me like snore 3 or 4 times throughout it. Like
I could hear it.
Yeah, it's and rather than being embarrassed which I am embarrassed still, but
no, I think that was epic, Joe. I think that was funny. It would have been amazing if you had your camera on and you're like
drooling.
It's so great.
So because of trying to get used to that thing, my sleep's been all screwed up, and I'm getting used to it, but it's a good thing overall, and I hope it helps. Sometimes we get old and don't take very good care of ourselves. End up fat with CPAP machines.
You know what? If it's helping us out, it's all okay.
I'm happy. I'm happy. My kids are taken care of. I'm good to go. So those little things like that, it's good to be able to laugh at yourself. And honestly, to be quite honest, the first feeling I had about it was I felt bad, like that, I was apologetic to Dave and the other people that, hey, sorry, I'm snoring in the middle of us trying to talk about serious things. I wasn't trying to be disrespectful and stuff. I've just got this issue going on, and I did.
Yeah.
That was right at the end of the stream, and I thought I could make it through it, and apparently I couldn't.
Yeah. When was that, Joe? When was that?
That was last night.
Last night. Okay.
Where did my phone go? I can't see who the members are that just got memberships without my phone.
I think they said
Left-Handed Jedi gifted Kentucky Atheist memberships.
Thank you, Left-Handed Jedi.
Thank you. Thank you so much. We do have memberships available down there. They start at 99 cents.
Right. Oh, there's trees.
I make members content every week. So
nice.
Yay. All right.
We're so close to that, Joe. I just found out we passed the 3,000 hours of watch time. So as soon as YouTube talks to itself and figures that out, we're going to be doing that stuff too.
Yay.
Yeah. It's, memberships are an excellent way for the creator to get a few bucks out of the time that they're putting in the channel. But aside from that, the big thing with memberships is Patreon's great. And I put stuff over there that's unique to Patreon, and you can go see it. And more of the drug talk and all that's on my Patreon. Exclusive stuff that's only there. I'm writing a book. All that's going to be through Patreon. But the memberships are here on YouTube, and they have the emojis and all these different ways that you can interact back with those people. And it allows you to have it's almost like I have a separate second channel, because I do my members only stuff, and those are usually open panels, and everybody knows they're welcome to show up and come on stage and talk or not.
So you let people on the members only actually just come into the stream?
Yeah, they're all open panels usually. And
cool.
Rather than going somewhere else and doing a Google Hangout or whatever and letting people come interact with me, not like that's a prize. But if you want to, you can. And
obviously some people think it's a prize, Joe.
Maybe.
Don't downplay yourself. Come on now.
That could be Christian residue up in there. Get rid of it.
Yeah.
Believe in yourself.
She said weed is her best friend. Sometimes I get stoned on there and tell funny stories. But it's a way that no topics off the table. So if you want to just come and unload and tell me something fun, and sometimes it goes 3 or 4 hours. We just hang out and talk and get to know each other. And so my members only content is actually some of my favorite stuff to do. I love, don't get me wrong, I love this. And I've wanted you guys as a guest for a long time. Nancy can attest to that. I've asked a couple times, right?
Yeah, we've been busy too. We're trying to we interviewed in 1 month, oh my God, 20 people, and we were just so backed up. I'm sorry it took so long.
No, believe me, I get it.
Yeah,
I have that too.
Yeah,
there's times when I'm 3 months off on being able to put anybody on.
Oh yeah, okay. I think people understand that. Yeah,
and I get somebody I really want to talk to, and say if I run into that person now, I really want to talk to that person. I'm like, oh, hey, are you available at the end of February? Right.
Yes.
I have to do that. Another super chat from Jester for $5. welcome new members, Apostate Sisters, Master Blaster,
Yay.
Weston Campbell, High Inquisitor, and Randy Scott. Awesome. So you guys can come to one of those.
Yay, we will.
And then Regios right behind it with another 5 memberships to the Kentucky Atheist. We're gonna have a party now, guys.
Awesome, dude. They're so fun. And Neil, the 604 Atheist, we just interviewed him as well. Well,
I've seen that
a little while ago, but it's coming out. It's
on Monday, tomorrow. We interviewed him.
Okay, and we were on his channel before, but we interviewed him on our channel now. It's coming out Monday. Not yet.
Did you post something on social media or something about it, or like a clip or something? Because I seen something with you guys and Neil, and I thought it may have been his channel, I guess.
I don't think my clips are out yet.
It must have been his channel then, Joe.
Yeah. I mean, you'll have to excuse me. I talk to so many people and all that, so it's like
Joe, you aren't keeping every little posting that the Apostate Sisters has done all in line and know exactly what they're all about.
We need to start sharing our calendar with each other.
Oh gosh, right? Yeah,
it's fine.
We'll just use the same calendar, that way we don't overlap. But no, like I've been a big I've tried to promote your guys' channel, and every time something comes up, I try to share it. Or if your name comes up while we're talking, I try to always tell people to go subscribe, because, and not just trying to promote. It's because I mean it. Like you have a wonderful channel, and you guys you do so well. The dynamic between the two of you, as well as you're just such nice, friendly people to talk to, and your experience, all that together, along with being able to laugh at yourselves and each other, is just makes your channel awesome. I think you guys are going to do really, really well, honestly.
Thank you,
Joe.
I
think you're gonna surpass me eventually.
Oh no.
It's okay.
So. You have great content.
We rise together. That's this whole thing,
we do
right?
Rise together. That's the goal. That is the goal. It's not we are no longer in competition anymore. Anyone in this space, nope, that is all gone.
I want to see you do that. I think that your channel has the ability to do that, and that's why, like, it's not, I don't mind that happens. I want it to happen. So I always like, especially whenever I'm meeting people from a channel like yours. I got in while you had 200 and some subscribers. I think you had like 260 or something, but I want to see your channel blow up and do good and be like, see, I was right. Awesome channel.
Good. Name and claim it, Joe.
We appreciate that so much. And when you give a compliment, you mean it, Joe. You can tell. And you can tell you care about people. You're doing amazing work. I wish I had I don't have it, but there it is. All right. Yeah.
I wouldn't blow smoke up your ass for no reason. I think that and I do. If I disagreed with you, I would tell you that as well. Believe it.
Good. We want to about that.
I just think that you guys have, especially being sisters, and the fact that, again, it's not another old white dude. Female representation is something that needs to continue to grow, along with other groups, but female representation as well.
Yeah.
Sure.
And for me, that just makes it that much better, because I love to see all those things. And like your guys, you say that I'm genuine. I know that you guys are genuine because of your interactions with each other.
A little too genuine sometimes. Like
you guys with Jason is the funniest stuff ever.
Which one?
It's hilarious watching you guys interact with Jason.
Jason, yeah.
It's,
or is it Joel too? You can talk about Joel.
Joel too. Yes.
Joel.
Yeah.
He's been offline a little while, but
got some really cool people willing to contribute their voice and talent to our channel also. I think one piece that maybe I haven't brought up yet today is what I see as important about what we're bringing to the atheist community as cult kids is this idea that, like, I think that has lived in another space for a really long time. Like, cult separated from like evangelical or whatever. But to me, I see them as very linked, right? Kind of just points along the extreme spectrum. And I think it's important for in the atheist community that they're aware of the worldwide Church of God ideology and how far it has spread, because there's a lot of us out here, and I know in the community there are former JWs, former Mormons, all of these kind of little branches. But I hadn't seen a lot around Armstrongist ideas and the worldwide Church of God and its offshoots. So I feel like that might be a valuable additional piece to the atheist community, just to be able to like know where someone's at, like when someone new comes to the atheist community and they're from one of those groups or whatever, the whole community is going to know a little bit better how to be there for them. Right. So if the idea of us being out here is to kind of create this net, a little bit of a net to be like, all right, you're out there floating. You don't know what your beliefs are anymore. You need a place to land. Like we can be here like, hey, we were there. We get it. Like all that Christian stuff out there, like really helpful for undoing what you had done to you. But that additional piece of our experience being so aligned is something that people are going to need. And I'm glad that we're getting the word out so we can be more fully addressing the needs of all of the people coming out of religion.
Well, there's, religion works, even though they don't like to, none of them, I don't imagine, will admit this. But religion, and as far as I know, all of them are about exclusion. It's about, I'm going to this better place because I'm doing better than you are. I know the word of God. I'm going to, make the scene and stand up and pray and testify and go in front of everybody. It's about excluding others. And especially when it comes to the LGBTQ community, the church has went out of its way to exclude them. And so the difference is that what we do, you guys, me, others, even the ones in the chat, it's about inclusion. I want to see you do well. Even you can't. There is no. I'm not gauging it on, are you doing better than me or worse than me? I'm gauging it on the community. I'm happy to see anybody in this community use their voice to reach more people. The more people you reach, the better for all of us. So it's a lot of times whenever we have these conversations or talk about atheism versus theism and whatever context you put that in, we don't consider that or point that out, that it's not the same thing. It's not even the same type of thing. The atheist activists are concerned on information and building community and including people, whereas religion is quite the opposite and has no choice but be that way. And so, I mean, the whole concept of you're going to hell is exclusion, right? It's you're going to the bad place. I'm not, because I practice this better than you. I know more than you. I'm better than you. It promotes that type of behavior and things.
It's right along the lines of certain really wealthy people. They don't want anyone else to become wealthy, because then what happens? They lose their status. They're not important anymore.
Yeah. I've always said that rich people view it as, and you'll have to excuse me, I've been, when I was a kid, my mom was a nurse, so it's not like I went without. I had things. We always had food. The bills were paid. Not as bad as it could have been. And before my mom was a nurse, it was much worse. Food stamps and all, things were tough. In my adult life, most of it, I've been very impoverished because of a number of reasons, but the disenfranchisement we talked about earlier is a big part of that. You can't get a decent job, especially in Eastern Kentucky, a deeply religious place. Like it's not made for that thing. So I've experienced a lot of that. That's cool. I get it. I understand it. I'm able to do it. It's not like it's a burden to me. But I've always said that the rich people view it as, if if I let the poor people make $5, that's $5 I don't have and I can't get. And so any money that goes to poor people is not money that's going to rich people. And I feel like that's kind of the view of it. Like, not only are they greedy, not all, again, I'm never talking about everybody, but not only are many of them just straight greedy, but it's also actively, I want to see those other people that way. I want them to have nothing because of my own greed. And religion kind of promotes that type of behavior too. Yeah.
It goes both ways. I think half the people in your comments are naked right now, Joe. Should we all get naked?
I took my shirt off on stream the other day.
Bow chicka bow wow.
Yeah, I think it was just like a $2 super chat too. It's hard to tell what I do for fun.
Oh, that is funny.
Nobody wants to see that.
Jess wants to see it.
Well, I'm not beyond having fun and acting silly. I always think about, because I do these long streams and stuff, this long form content. Like, I might as well just sit down one day with a bottle of Maker's Mark and let's just start and see where it ends.
You do drink bourbon. Ember, you should have been the first one to get naked, my dear.
Believe me, I know bourbon. Again, we have fun here.
I wasn't sure if you were a bourbon drinker or not.
Woodford Reserve is one of my favorites.
Mine too. Oh, yes. Yeah. I love that distillery. You been down there?
Not in it, but like I've been down in that area.
Okay.
Cool.
I like Woodford Reserve. One of the things we can do here is we can buy barrels, empty barrels. And because living in Kentucky makes this easier too. You can buy it and take it, and you just put a little water in it, set it out in the sun for a couple days, and you've got pretty much the same power of whiskey that's in it. Wild Turkey is a big one you can get barrels from too.
Yeah, Wild Turkey. Castle Key's a really good one too. That distillery is in an actual castle. It's really cool.
Whoa.
No, we have some awesome distilleries and some really old ones here.
I've been to half of them.
But that's cool. We have the whole Bourbon Trail thing.
Buffalo Trace is one of the oldest, if not the oldest.
Yeah.
And I've been to that one too. That's
you like Buffalo Trace?
Yeah, Buffalo Trace is good. They have a few different products, including like a cream-based liqueur that's really good.
So for me, Woodford is the expensive stuff. So on average, like Maker's Mark would probably be like, if I'm going and just if it's not a special occasion, I would probably grab Maker's Mark. Of course, I don't drink that often now, but even so, like if I get a fifth or a liter of Maker's Mark, like I put it up and like just take a drink of it every now and then and stuff. Because I actually like it. It's not a getting drunk thing. It's I like to have a drink of bourbon. I am from Kentucky.
I love it.
I can leave here, but the bluegrass never leaves me, right?
Yeah, that's fine. You can be proud of where you're from. And in fact, I do have a novel floating around out there, Joe, and part of it takes place in Kentucky because I based my protagonist love interest off of my husband, and he used to live in Louisville. He went to college there. So I have a little stint in Kentucky where his character owns a bourbon distillery down there.
Well, tell people where to find your book and stuff. I mean,
yeah,
don't half-ass plug it, Nancy. Let's hear about it.
I know. I see.
Nancy.
I'm over the pride too. I'm just like, it's just a book I wrote. I don't know, is it good? No, I will have an actual interview coming out pretty soon. In fact, Patti interviewed me as the author. It is called. Let me put it in here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nancy wrote that book while she was in India for a year. She got stuck there during the early part of the pandemic.
Wow.
I know. Pretty cool, huh?
That is cool.
Yeah.
Now you need to write a book about writing the book because of that experience.
That's right.
Oh, I like mead too, Andrew. Absolutely, mead. Hell yeah, Viking all the way. So there's my book, Velikari by Anna Siduri is my pen name. This is just a novel that I think was like, art therapy is a way to get rid of a lot of traumas, not just in like the cult space, even though it's especially in the cult space, but like domestic abuse and things like that. So that was my book of like, let me just get all the shit that was in my head out and turn it into a story. And somehow it turned into a story where it's a novel, but kind of a memoir too. A lot of it is pretty accurate to my life, where the girl is in serving in Iraq. She takes her R&R to New Zealand, and something happens where she ends up in India. So it's very involved. It goes kind of all over the place. But that's my book.
Yeah, that's kind of my thing. I'm just trying to get everything out and put it in a book. Like, I don't know what I have no idea what the end result's gonna be, but I know that I've told a lot of my stories and a lot of my experience and stuff, and people have been really interested in it. And it was actually people in the community that said, you should write this stuff in a book. It's really a great story and things. And so
I'd be happy
like,
to help you out with that, Joe. Put it in like I like the novel idea just because you can take real events from your life and just turn it into a story. I'm not entirely against memoirs too, but at the same time, it's like with a novel, you can get creative with it as well.
Now, see, I would actually like to do that. I feel like some parts of it are so unbelievable already. For a lot of people that it may be tough to tough to really do some of that. But and also, John, let me tell you something here, man.
Oh, it's on Amazon, by the way.
If you think that the bourbon is too sweet, you're drinking shitty bourbon, because you shouldn't notice that. In good bourbon, all the sugars have been kind of ate up and stuff. But different kinds of bourbons have a different taste and stuff, and a sweet finish is something that happens with some of them, but it shouldn't taste like drinking pop or something sweet like that. If you're it's
definitely sweet compared to like Scotch. You'll notice the difference between those two for sure. And then rum is way sweeter than bourbon. So
well, maybe it's just the word sugar that I don't like in there, because I don't think it's a sugar taste. But maybe other people think it is. Again, I grew up with it, so that and moonshine is everywhere.
Really? Wow.
Shit, I could whip up moonshine in the other room, and I mean, it takes a while to make, but I could go in there and just do it off the top of my head. Moonshine's easy.
Wow.
You're not really from Kentucky unless you're born with the knowledge of how to make moonshine already. My kid can make moonshine and doesn't even know it.
That's funny.
Hopefully I don't catch him doing that. He is a shithead. But all right. So
it's funny, Joe.
Let's
I love all the varying topics. See, somebody in the comments said, "Oh, they just couldn't do this because they'd never stay on topic." I get it. Like, look how many topics we cover. We go down a lot of rabbit trails, and that's okay, I think.
I think today was, even though we've been all over the place, we've talked about a number of things. I do think that we stayed on topic for most of it. Like, but we've talked about any number of things today.
Well, and we've told our story several times now. I'm sorry.
I still think it's been an excellent show today.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Joe, for having us on. There's always great stuff to talk about.
Real people do that, like I can come on here and be the dancing monkey and just religion bad, like I can come and do that, but and sometimes there's some formats that are okay and some that aren't, but there's informative stuff and whatever, but part of the goal here is getting to know people, and this is how people talk.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
And, it's allowed us to interact with the chat too. That's kind of how it's how we've went on some of those voyages is to interact with what the audience wants to talk about.
Absolutely.
Which I'm going to be applying to this show in the very near future. I'm switching platforms to EV Mux instead of StreamYard. And
okay.
The Grateful to Know God's broadcast on Sundays. will be available on all the podcast places, and we'll be streaming in multiple places, which we're doing that today. But nice. It'll be a different format. It'll be interaction with the chat. I'll have a list of topics that I'll talk about. People can super chat or suggest different topics, or to pick a topic from that list. If you want to go to that one, we'll work out some way. I don't know how exactly we're going to do that yet. But
what was the name of that?
The Grateful to Know God's broadcast, which is actually what this show is called.
Right. And what's the platform though that you're moving to?
EVMux. EVMUX.
We should make note of it, Pass, just in case we want to switch over.
It allows you it gives you a lot more options as far as format, and you can use completely your own art on how even the scenes are laid out. You can lay out multiple scenes that you can switch between.
Okay.
Not just layouts like this, but like I can have a button that'll change everything to something else that I've designed completely, or Jess has designed. You can put the chat on screen. You can put all kinds of other stuff from outside sources on screen. It's almost like OBS in a streaming platform. And
please do tell Jess that she does a wonderful job as well. I know you always give her shout outs when she does. Editing is a hell process. So she does I mean, you both are a great team. Just shout out Jess as well. She does so much.
Jess is the art department here.
Nice.
It looks great. I love the boom, the music that you put up. It's fantastic.
I like really this one a lot. Which if you come Friday for the members only content, you'll get to see this again. But here's the new members intro. I love this.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Nice. That's amazing.
Yeah, she does just phenomenal work. The thing you watched with me snoring, the music layover and the sleeping atheist thing, that's all her. She did that.
Awesome.
She's currently working on, in fact, let me see if it's still open.
Oh, it's so good.
Let me show you guys what's coming up. This is exciting, because this is going to be a big change for us. Let me show you what we've got coming here.
Brentley, are you still?
I'm gonna have to pick Jess's brain, because I make all the little intro thingies for ours too. I am nowhere near at that level of quality.
Jess is so talented, and not only that, she gets what I'm doing here, and she just, we're on the same page and we work so well together. And let me share my screen real quick. We have the KentuckyAtheist.com coming up, and I'm really excited to get this going. It's going to be super cool. Here's a little bit of what she's working on.
Okay.
Let me see. Is that showing right now? Let me go back. No. Let's do it this way. Why did that do that? Oh, I gotta add it. All right.
Arc Encounter protest. I want to go to this. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I'll be organizing that. Her work with the new intros and stuff. We're gonna have contact information. All my social media links. This isn't live yet, so you can't go there yet. But in the next week or so, I expect to have it up.
As soon as it is, we can mention it as well.
Yeah. And I'm excited to get us a website. We're going to have our own emails. You'll email Joe at theKentuckyAtheist.com.
Awesome. You are doing the damn thing. I love it.
Yeah,
Well, if we're doing shout outs, can I do a shout out too?
of course.
I wanted to shout out for our channel. Yeah, JJ has been our most staunch supporter from the time we started this. I think JJ found us when we just had a few episodes out on audio only, and has definitely stepped in to be a huge part of what we're doing here. JJ was also a cult kid, not in any congregations we were a part of, but it's been so nice to have JJ on the team, helping with social media and getting all of those little promo videos that you may have seen prepared for release and stuff. So huge shout out to JJ, and also a shout out to my sister Nancy, who has been a very willing participant in this endeavor and has taken on
channel. Yes.
well, you've taken on so much of the editing because you just like found your happy little ADHD home in that editing space. Like, I know you just love it. Yeah, you love to hyper focus on that. So like, I just really appreciate, like, this obviously isn't just me. It obviously isn't just me and Nancy. And we couldn't be doing what we're doing without people like you, Joe, doing what you're doing here. So, I mean, like, thank you for giving us a space to put our faces out there a little bit more. I really
wanted to clarify, Apostate JJ is also Jason from our masturbation video, which if anyone hasn't seen our masturbation video, go check it out. It's hilarious. Hilarious. And yeah, JJ was a part of that as well. That was a lot of fun. But yes, thank you everyone. And I'm so appreciative to everyone like in the comments. This is just great. Great discussion in general. And whenever there's trolls in there, you all fight together to overcome. So we appreciate that.
So yeah, and as far as that goes, while we're shouting out to people, my moderation team does wonderful. They keep me up to date on things that are going on, because sometimes you might get somebody in chat that is causing problems, and there's like a little, like, maybe there's a history there that I may not be aware of, or specifically, I'll just say it, Otangelo. Like, there's events in Otangelo's past that I wasn't aware of, and my moderators cleared that up for me real quick, and I was able to not have that person coming in and being on stage. And because a lot of times I'll post a link for people to join and stuff. And
you guys are rock stars over here. Thank you.
Yeah. Pragmatic Crystal is my head moderator, and
super mod, as you call it. Super mod.
Super mod, yes. Does just an amazing job, and along with Titan Uranus and Aunt Jer and Robin.
Titan your anus?
Titan Uranus. You're supposed to yell it. Yell Titan Uranus.
Oh, Titan Uranus. Oh, yeah. That's right. I know Titan Uranus. It just, when you said it, I was, yeah. Titan Uranus. Yep, I got you.
No, it wasn't a command. It was just not that kind of channel, Nancy.
We are the prostate sisters.
Oh my gosh.
Dude.
And that's another thing too. Like, we're able to have a sense of humor about things that
you have to.
You just aren't acceptable everywhere.
Yeah.
Not that they shouldn't be, though. Like, but we're able to joke about things that you wouldn't joke about at the workplace, I guess.
True.
I don't imagine Titan
or at church.
Anything you've said at work or church.
Or at church, exactly. Well, Joe, we also have one of our.
Pray for my friend Titan Uranus. Probably not.
Prostate sisters. Yep, exactly. Yes. No, Joe, one of our earlier episodes that had come out, it was called Silence to Swearing. And it was basically me and Patti talking about how the church controlled the words that came out of it. Not only, words that went in, but also the words that came out of it. And so there's this one little stint in the video where we're just like shooting the worst names we can think of back at each other, like smegma and fart zone and whatever else we said. And we're just back and forth doing that for like a minute.
Amazing. Yes. Yeah, and it's you have look with something as serious as religion, because even though I don't think it should be taken as seriously as it is, in itself, it is a serious thing that affects all aspects of especially American society. So, and many of us were indoctrinated, and there's trauma there, and there's history, and all those things. And if you're not able to laugh and have a good time at the expense of those imaginary things or those real things, if you're not able to laugh about it and stuff, it then presses on you. So you find a lot of the atheist community that has a great sense of humor whenever it comes to that kind of stuff because of their experiences. That makes it more fun. The George Carlin, Ricky Gervais.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, let it loose. Anyone who says anyone like immature is just a boring person.
Yes.
Like you have to like act like you're. I don't know. I don't censor really anything on our channel. I'm like, fuck it.
I worked as a firefighter and EMT, and if we found somebody in a fire, it was a crispy critter, and that's like not appropriate and very disrespectful and a number of things. But us together, our community had to really kind of joke about those things and not take it always so seriously among each other. Now, that's not something we would say publicly or anything like that. There were terms like that though for different things.
Yeah. I mean, it's a coping mechanism at its heart, really.
Yes, definitely. I think that's absolutely what I was getting at, is the way you cope with those things is to be able to joke around about it and stuff. My history of drug use, I have a lot I feel guilty for that I did. And if I sat and just dwelled on that and all the time, it would make me not capable of having a social life or being a happy person at all.
Right.
So being able to look at that and laugh and point at the absurdity of the things I did myself is a way to cope with it that is not injecting heroin into my veins. So
hey, that's good.
There's good ways to do that. There's healthy ways that may not be appropriate everywhere that are still okay.
Right.
Your talk about masturbation, it was serious, but at the same time, you joked with it. You had jokes and that you made, and you should.
You have to. Yeah.
It's okay. When you make it too serious, you just reinforce that idea of things being a taboo topic.
And I think the joking about it is a little bit how we accept the hard things too.
Yep.
Right? Like, because you have to be like, yeah, that shit is just real. And if you can joke about it, you've internalized that.
Humor
and I think
so healing.
Yeah, well, and accepting what is can be so healing, right? I think that's where that idea of forgiveness, I think in the church, it's used in such a bullshit way to like I'm going to control you with that, or I'm going to make you be quiet and not talk about that anymore and not hold me accountable for things. But the forgiveness that I think needs to remain is the forgiveness we have for ourselves in the things that we did, given the context and the setup that we had. Of course that's what I did. Like, what the fuck else could I have done given all of this? And that self-forgiveness is so huge around that.
Sorry. Yeah, and back to false dichotomies, you can do both. You can hold yourself accountable for something and also joke about it, even sometimes at the same time. It doesn't have to be either it's this serious topic or you don't give a fuck. Like, it can be both of those things.
I think that's self-deprecating humor, right? Like, we're good at that.
They have a name for it. Yeah. And some of the best comedy too is that way, like people that are able. I mean, Chris Rock made millions off of it. But yeah, I think it's, and I think that's something that you guys bring to the table that you don't find everywhere, and your sisters, and you do it so well. It makes it unique, And
thanks, Joe.
Thanks, Joe.
So I'm always happy to see you guys progressing and doing better. And if you're still here hanging out, thanks for hanging in there. The Apostate Sisters are linked in the title. They're linked in the description, and you can find it in chat. Probably it's in there several dozen times in chat. Their links are. But it's YouTube at the Apostate Sisters. You guys are on Facebook. You're on Instagram. Are you on? Yeah. You're on TikTok.
We're on all platforms and Blue Sky now, right?
And Blue Sky.
Yep, officially on there. And we're actually at Apostate Sisters, not the Apostate Sisters.
Oh,
yeah,
sorry.
Apostates.
No, that's okay.
I'm used to the Kentucky Atheist, I guess. So
I'm
but
pretty sure.
Blue Sky. Everybody go to Blue Sky. You should want to leave Twitter, I think. But even if you don't, go follow your favorite creators on Blue Sky. Just in the last week, Andrew Fox, Joel Hathaway, Helen, Holy Hawk, Deviant Outcast, Ember, Yahooligan, Apostate Sisters, AR, Bree, Stephanie was already following me, but these are all people that have just followed me this week. Go and join Blue Sky. It is such an awesome place, and all your favorite people are there. Let me real quick.
It's been great.
My socials. The Apostate Sisters follow me. You can find them there for that. I don't have your Blue Sky link, but go follow us on Blue Sky. Both of us, all three of us. It's I post all kinds of stuff there, and because it's growing and all that, I'm announcing every week the new people that have joined. So join and I'll say your name once. But I'm joking. But
Blue Sky, follow over there. Yay. We're doing
you guys got anything else you want to plug before we close this thing up?
Well, we have a new show, our Unpack It TV, so that won't be this week, but next week, and then every other Friday at 9 Central. We have where we review an episode of The World Tomorrow, which was our cults TV show. So we've been live reacting to that. That's our latest.
Yeah. So it's good for our viewers who are fellow Worldwide Church of God members, but also atheists can watch it as well. We just kind of have a lot of fun making fun of the shit that we grew up watching and that our parents watched and still do. It's interesting and it's not necessarily
nobody's gonna be happy until
you saw High Five come out of the show. Like, let's just take it off. It's so great.
Sorry.
Don't apologize.
Way to interrupt the plug, right?
It's your channel.
Yeah. Take it all off.
Demonetized. I was never wearing the bottom half. I prefer the Porky Pig style.
Yeah. Seems more free anyway.
Yeah. More aerodynamic.
Sorry, what was I just saying before?
I have no clue, honestly.
Okay, the Unpack It series, initially in our Unpack It series with our friend Joel, he's of the TikTok Mr. Difficult. He's still a Christian, but like he's very he knows a lot about the Bible and he disagrees with all the cult stuff. We have great discussions with him. He's a little bit on hiatus right now. We hope to see him back soon, but in the meantime, yes, that is what Unpack It TV is about. And yeah, Patty's doing an awesome job putting that together where we're just watching the screen and reacting to this material and we're having a conversation at the same time. So this should be interesting. I fully expect that Armstrong, followers will start getting on our radar because of this. So we're ready for him. We're ready for him. Come at us. Yay.
So
take it off. Stephanie
with $5 super chat. Take it off. I took it off and put it back on. I can take it back off, I guess. I mean, again, I've been to prison. I've done the whole squat and cough thing. I'm not embarrassed easily. This is
I've done it too in the military, Joe. You're good.
Yeah, it's this is nothing for me. I could care less. You can see my
oh, I saw some tattoos going on there.
What's your tattoo, Joe? Mushroom.
It's a zombie 1-up. It says -1 up.
Oh,
But
love it.
I think I've fulfilled my naked obligations for the day, though. My girlfriend and I will probably have to have a long talk after this.
You won't be talking after this, Joe, after she sees it. No,
No, actually, she'll probably say, if they're sending money, you take that shit off. But
The things we do for YouTube.
there's no way that you could imagine that I'm in a relationship where everything's serious all the time, right? Like, yeah, we're not taking everything that serious. We could get together with Punk Apostate, though.
Hell yeah.
He promotes the Adam and Eve stuff. That could be a filthy stream.
I know.
Can we get?
I've been trying to get in with them. I've been trying. I'm gonna try to get in with them too.
Maybe
I don't know
we'll
what
do a
criteria
fundraiser.
is, but I think
now, so you can do affiliate things. Look around for things that like you can do like an Amazon affiliate thing right now. Anybody can do it. There's certain things you can do, but yeah, he got in with Adam and Eve. That was a good one.
that was we would do
That's
the
the only
same.
naughty store that exists where I live. In fact, it's the only one I can name because it's the only one.
Really?
Well, and shout out to Brentley over here of Punk Apostate. If you listen to him, he's a great speaker anyway. But like he makes these incredible jokes that transition so well into him promoting Adam and Eve, doesn't he, Patti? He's just like,
yeah, oh yeah,
stuff for your butt. And speaking
double
of
entendre
butt,
game is good.
Yeah. He's very good at the segue.
It's outstanding.
Brentley's been on a couple times. We were working on getting him scheduled to come on again, and I guess it just kind of fell apart because we need to talk outside of here. Get a hold of me on Discord or one of my social media things, Brentley, and let's have you on again. You've been on a couple times. It's been a while. Come back and visit.
We still
So many amazing creators.
Hey.
Plus, I want to start doing some open panels on. Well, not open panels. I want to start doing some panels on specific topics. So keep an eye on your email. I may ask you guys to, either one or both of you, however, to come and join in a panel about stuff sometimes. It would be great to get your perspective.
We're not to panels yet, but we do have episodes where we invite guests on, aside from our interview series, where, you know, we might need your perspective depending on what the topic is. So like with masturbation, we wanted a male perspective, so we had a male friend. Same with circumcision. We don't have penises. Not last time I checked. So we brought a couple male friends on there. So situations like that, we might need you for something. Yeah.
I'm always down to hang out with you guys.
Yay.
I would change my plans to come hang out with you guys. So
that's so sweet, Joe.
I just I have to say, I love what you do and I love how you do it. And that's, sorry if that sounds weird, but
we appreciate you back. We appreciate you back.
Just finding a channel with two sisters that I could set and not only relate to a lot, because remember, even though I didn't grow up in a cult, I still grew up in fundamentalist Christianity, right? So,
but we know Catholicism too. You know, so yeah.
And so I think that we get each other, and ever since I started talking to both of you, it's been nothing but a pleasure. You know, there's, you know, I'm always happy to, and I love seeing you guys show up in the chat and on my social media. I know that you like a lot of my stuff. I try to return the favor. I do appreciate that. By the way, Left-Handed Jedi followed me while we were promoting Blue Sky. So awesome, Left-Handed Jedi.
Oh yeah,
big community supporter.
You're everywhere too.
But so I guess with that, let's end it. I don't really have a specific show planned for next Sunday yet. We're making we're changing the format and stuff. So I will be on Sunday at 2 every week, though, for sure, for now. The Line has decided to move their Sunday show to 2 p.m. Eastern, which kind of sucks. But I don't know if I'm going to change times or not yet. I mean, I don't think they even know I exist, much less did it on purpose. So I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, they have a huge following, and I understand if people would rather go watch that than come here. And I want to make it available to everybody that does want to come here. So I may change the time. I don't know.
Okay.
I've been doing it this time for almost 2 years, and I kind of like it. So, but I can see the value of doing it. And see, the evening's packed though. Like,
Yeah.
Sunday is just a busy day in general for all things atheist. So yeah, we get it.
Bad Science Sunday comes on tonight at 9:30.
Yeah.
Maya Atkinson, one of my favorite creators, and that is probably. I have a few shows that I try my best not to miss live.
Yep.
And that is probably number one of them. I love that show.
Okay.
I love what they do.
Yeah. It's a great channel.
They have a huge audience that, in fact, last week we got in a buying memberships war, and we bought so many memberships that they started refunding people because there was nobody else to give them to. After like 200 memberships, it quit. It quit working. So,
good problems to have.
Yeah. Awesome problem to have. With Secular Rarity on, who had been on my show earlier that day.
Oh, Secular Rarity, so adorbs.
Have you talked to him? Have you?
Not yet, but I've seen him for years now.
I saw him show up in our stream once, or like our premiere or something. Just once, I was like, oh my gosh!
Let me hook you up, because
SR.
He's looking to talk to more people, and so are you, and I'm sure he would love to, and I would love to see you guys interact with him because he's such a great guest, and you guys do a great job, and I think it would be a really good show.
I mean, we still have Aaron Raw waiting for us to pick a topic. He said, yeah, he'll be on our channel too, because we met him at BajaCon and hung out, and he even drove my truck. Cool dude. But then just let me know the topic and I'll be on there. And now we're scrambling to be like, Aaron Raw's going to be on our channel, but what topic do we pick, or do we just interview him? I don't know. Everyone knows who he is, so we got to.
You know what? So I struggled with that when I had Aaron on, and you want to know what I ended up doing?
What
is? At first, I was like, well, let's talk about the phylogeny challenge and why phylogeny is such a defeater for the young Earth creationist thing, and go into use that to kind of build on a young Earth creationist conversation. And as I sat and thought about that, and he agreed to come talk about that too. As I thought about it, I was like, dude, you are wasting your moment here. This is Aaron Raw. We have so many things in common, even though he was like raised by Mormons for the most part. There's still this fundamentalist Christianity involved, where we were indoctrinated and taught these things as a kid. How we overcame it, the attitude we have towards it now is kind of similar. Our political views. I mean, Aaron and I have a lot in common. So for me, I was like, you know what? There's no way that I'm not going to be able to just bullshit with Aaron and have a good time doing it. And if people want to watch that, it'll be available, And so that's what I did. I had him come on and just talked a little bit about, of course, thank you for what you do. And I've followed you for some time and all that. But just we talked about eating spicy foods and going to ball games and the struggles of trying to be on every channel and show up at every convention and all those things. And Aaron, of course, you've met him and talked to him, but it's just the most down to earth, easy guy to talk to.
He's great.
And you met him at Baja too, right?
Yeah. He promised me next time I'm in Dallas, he would take me and my husband to get some of the hottest, spiciest chicken wings, ones that would blow our asshole out. And I said, "You're on." Okay, we're gonna go.
Well, if you come to Kentucky, we can do that here too.
My husband would love it for sure. He really, he can handle some spicy food
for sure. Really, if one or both of you or whatever, whether you're going to a con or whatever, like you come through this way or whatever, holler at me and we'll have lunch or something at least. I do a get together in the summer, which will be centered around the Ark Encounter protest because I'll be organizing and planning that.
Joe, if you remember, can you send that to me too? I'm mostly active on my personal Facebook page. I'd really like to attend it. And, you know, my husband and I travel all over the fucking place. We'd love to go to that part of, well, we've already been to that part of Kentucky, but again, I didn't know you then. I want to go back. So maybe I'll revisit the Mothman Museum.
Yeah. Well, see, so Jess came from Canada, came down here to Kentucky to hang out with me. And she ended up going to the Mothman thing because it's only like 45 minutes for me. Yeah. And so we made like a whole weekend of it. We went to Carter Caves and went in some caves, and they made me go hike on a trail for a mile uphill, and I wanted to kill everybody. But
I like how you say hike.
Well, I said hike, but the word is hike. Yeah. Yeah, I know.
I like it.
The letter I is it's not an I, it's an I.
Yeah.
Ha, da, la, ska. It's all the same.
Sorry, I totally interrupted you. I was just like,
no, you're good. No, you're okay. I have to stop and
I'm sorry, I keep getting messages. I'm a little.
You're fine. I have to stop and translate every now and then anyway, so it's okay.
I am married to someone from India. He's got a thick accent. Sometimes I still ask him, like, what did you just say?
Well, the thing with the Kentucky accent is the running the vowels together and the long O's and I's, and because we don't have the letter I. This is an ah. We eat pie. Yeah.
So my husband, when he says the word tortoise, he says tortoise. It's cute.
Right.
Tortoise. Little things like that. Yeah, they're big differences.
Yeah, I like English people with aluminium and
aluminium. Yep.
Yeah.
Vitamin.
I say aluminum. If you're lucky, I say aluminum. I might say aluminum. You know, we're real good about running things together. That's why we have like y'all and you guys and yins.
Oh, Joe, in the military, I had a lot of people from down south, and they would say sergeant, like sergeant, like there was no R, like sergeant. Yes, sergeant.
Where's that from?
I don't know where he's from. Somewhere down south.
Hard to tell.
I know. A while back, I watched a video that showed people from all over the country from like, I think it was like the 50s maybe. And it's really clear that our accents are diminishing. Like we've watched enough TV and moved around the country enough that like those accents were a lot thicker a lot of years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's my accent. Like do you know Robin Webster?
Yes, on your channel. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I don't think
Robin
I've seen her
has a much thicker Kentucky accent than I do. We only live a couple hours from each other, but like her accent is totally different than mine. Mine, I kind of like you'll hear me. I do the I's both ways, and now that I'm aware of it, I'll say it right. But the
I don't think there's a right.
I had to do some speeches and stuff. So
yeah, there's no right, Joe. There's no right way to say it.
Correct.
You say it however the fuck you want.
I'm more so I try to make sure that I communicate it in a way that everyone can understand, and my Kentucky accent sometimes makes that difficult. So
that's fair.
I'm conscious about it sometimes, and that makes it to where I talk a little bit different than a lot of people from Kentucky. Robin is way more twangy than I am, even though I'm very, very Kentucky. She's got it more than I do, and don't say she doesn't, because I won't accept it.
Hello, Toronto. Been to Toronto. Nice area.
Oh yeah, so not
hi.
just Jess, but a bunch of people came down and hung out. You guys probably don't know Will because he's not really active in the community, but he's a big supporter of my channel and a few others. And I've sent him to your channel. You may know him, but Will from Ohio.
Maybe not.
Okay. He came and hung out, and we went to the casino and drank a lot of beers and had a good time. Look at the trees came.
Fantastic. Where does she live? I'm sorry.
Is from rural Ohio.
Rural Ohio. Okay.
Yeah, and Pinworm came, and that's it. Jess and her family, and these people like it was Will and his girlfriend, Jess and her family. So there was a lot of us, and we had a good time and just hung out for a weekend. It was supposed to be centered around the Ark Encounter, but the group that usually does that isn't going to do it again until the 10-year thing. And so I kind of said, well, let me do it this year then if you're not going to. And so this year I'm going to be planning it. And they offered to let me use all their resources and stuff to put it on.
Wow.
So I'm going to be doing that.
Wait, are you going to be recording
it?
Oh, yeah, I'll record everything. It'll all be
everything. You're going to document all this. Okay.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I've been there to that the Creation Museum. I've even met Ken Ham in person. Sorry. Yeah. I shook his hand.
I'm going to be pushing. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, no. I was just going to say I was there before the Ark was actually built. This was like in its early
Creation Museum.
Yeah, the Creation Museum, because that's right there on that like campus, correct?
Yeah, yeah.
They built the Ark.
So I'm actually going to be, as we get, because I'm going to start next month working on it, but I'm going to be trying to do some crowdfunding and stuff to fly in a few speakers from different places. I'll probably cover all myself if I can, but I'm going to try and get people to help fund getting some good speakers there. And the Jim that is president of Tri-State Free Thought or Tri-State Free Thinkers is going to hook me up with all of their resources and stuff. Plus, he's even offered to let us use his house to party in after it and give us fans and banners and a stage and speakers and everything that they have to put it on. So it's a big undertaking to plan it. And I'm looking for people to help with that too. So,
wow.
But we're going to do it one way or another.
Hell yeah.
But
good.
That was the thing last year. I didn't find out till the last minute that they weren't doing it. And I didn't want to half-ass it. Like if I'm going to do it, I want to do it proper. Like I want to have something that people are happy to have went to and got to meet some great creators and take part in a really important protest. So I want to do it right. So I waited and put it off till this year, and I'm going to start now in December working on it. That way I'm ready by the second weekend of July. So plenty of time to get it together.
Yeah, but I imagine it is that big to plan. So,
yeah, and
you're wise.
I don't know if we'll set up like a GoFundMe or something, and like maybe set up a GoFundMe to help pay for speakers and stuff to get here, and then that way people can always see where it's at and how much we've raised and exactly what it's going to and all that stuff. So
there's always more to be done. Yeah.
Oh yeah, there's that's the tip of the iceberg. Believe me, there's so much planning and stuff, and I'm okay at planning, but honestly, this keeps me pretty busy, and so I'll have to definitely devote a lot of my attention to it and get some helpers that can help me with that. Of course, Jess will help, but some people to help me plan different aspects of it. That way we can, like I said, do it right. I want to do it proud. We're gonna have a good one. All right. So I've been into the show for like 40 minutes now.
You're fine. We know how you are, Joe. It's great.
Yeah.
We used to live in Minnesota. It's okay. It's just a Minnesota goodbye. You're supposed to offer bars and coffee at some point. So it's
that Southern hospitality thing. Is you only get that if you don't know the person, though. That's the trick with Southern hospitality. It's Granny's only kind until you get to know her, and then she's an asshole. But all right. So sad. Everybody go check out the Apostate Sisters, an awesome channel. I'll be back on this week for a couple things for sure. I think I've got something scheduled for Thursday, actually. Hold on. I don't want to miss shouting out somebody I'm supposed to here. Let me look real quick.
Okay. Well, we've got Neil, the 604 Atheist interview coming out on our channel tomorrow.
Okay. I know who's coming on. AJ, Ways to Human, will be here Thursday evening at 6:00. I'll be on with her. She's new into the at least channel creation part, that she's been bumping around, visiting other channels and stuff. She'll be on Maya's Bad Signs Sunday, I think next Sunday.
Okay.
But she'll be here Thursday. So come check that out. Next Sunday, I'll be back on with the show. Friday, I'll do a live stream for all the new members. Welcome, new members. So glad to have you. Can't wait to sit down and talk. But go subscribe to the Apostate Sisters. That's all I got. Thanks. Goodbye.